Hello, welcome. I think that should have begun the stream. I was in my Snoopy jammies earlier, and then I got warm. So now, I thought this was green, and now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of more blue than I thought it was. But we have our fancy new background. So I can make the lights green, and we can be St. Patrick's Day that way. I should probably move my microphone closer to me. I might be a bit quiet. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm just bringing my microphone in a little bit closer. Welcome back to everybody who was here earlier. Welcome in to everybody who is here for the first time right now. I did stream volumes low. Thank you. I'll check and see. It might have nudged down, but it also might have been because the microphone was like a foot away from me. It did nudge down. I've been keeping it at around 60 when I stream, so I just turned it back up to 60. Hopefully that helps with the audio. Um, Yay, I made it. Just got power back this morning. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you have power. That sucks not to have power. The lights are pretty. Thank you. I'm very excited about the new background. Um, so it is up as like a video on demand. If anybody missed it earlier, we did talk about the marketing for Justin Baldoni's 5 Feet Apart movie, which we did confirm was literally picked up as being pitched as being like The Fault in Our Stars, and that he knows so little about cystic fibrosis that he portrayed it in that movie as though it were contagious via cough, which is not how cystic fibrosis works. In addition to the medical inaccuracies, they also, Wayfarer or somebody having something to do with the promotion, contracted influencers to post stories about how they totally understand what being immunocompromised is like on account of they have cousins or friends or loved ones who live in other states. That whole thing is an entire mess. We read a bunch of articles about it earlier. So if you feel like going back after this one and watching that one, that is what we discussed this afternoon. But I am back, and I realized that I'm not. I haven't been super caught up about what's going on in terms of. Sorry, my chair is so squeaky. I have not been super caught up in terms of what's going on with like court things, and I needed to read some updates about that, so I figured we might as well do that together. I already have some links open for my window capture here. So I will I'll move myself over to the basement. I just like to start in the main box. Here we go. All right. I never know how like, because I feel like I had myself bigger last time, and then you can't really see like the background as much, but then am I too small? And then when it's too big, it's like literally just like my chin and my forehead, and I don't like that either. So we're gonna be at this size. All right. Hi, I was watching last replay. Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. All right. Happy I caught this so early. Thank you. Me too. Oh, it is actually. I said basement. It's an attic, I suppose. Justin Baldoni is the one locked in the basement, which also, I guess this means that I just need to look at his fucking website, which that's gonna be its own live stream. But I see people mentioning like Blake Lively locked Justin Baldoni and a dying fan in the basement, and it's like, why was he once again bringing a dying person here? Like, that's so weird. Hello, welcome. All right. Ophie jail. um, so I've got, let me just pull this up here. I was going to start with, I have a Deadline article. This seems to be an update about the legal goings on. So we'll look into this together. I know people in chat were saying the other night that this is actually good news for Blake Lively. But I have seen lots of thumbnails where pro Baldoni creators are being like, huge win for Justin. So I'm looking forward to seeing what is the actual situation going on here. Wayfarer came up with the basement plan as an alternative to not going at all. He was texting with his editors that they didn't want him there, and then he also in his text to his editors were like, well, there will be different areas and holding areas and everything you can think of, and then suddenly he's so mad that he got locked in the basement when they fucking told him not to go. They also knew he'd be doing a separate screening and clear the red carpet before the premiere, so the fact that he invited a guest knowing that is so performative. Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe he thought that if he brought a dying person that they would be like, oh, actually, Justin, you are such a good man. We'll bring you along with us. But I don't understand, other than the fact that he thought that it was going to make him more sympathetic. Like, he should have just not gone. But clearly they knew that if they put, like, if he did it, that he would be a poor little meow meow, and that he can do his little basement audio note about how he's locked in the basement. But they fucking knew ahead of time. Also, hello, Ex-Patriarch. Thank you for being here. I was just reading your post in Baldoni Files towards the end of my my other stream earlier when we were talking about, like, the No More stuff. I was saying how great a job I think you've been doing with all the coverage of this. I'm not 100% positive on who the dying person was, but I have seen Baldoni fans bringing up a terminally ill person who was at the thing. I need to look a bit more into that. But, so this is from Deadline. This is by Dominic Patton. It says, Justin Baldoni loses highly personal and intimate information. Court battle with Blake Lively. Risk of disclosure is great. Judge warns both sides. And this came out on the 13th. So this is from, last Thursday. It's pretty recent, but it's not like today. And then we'll just get started. Hopefully it's a little bit zoomed out. I could probably zoom it in a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Trying to plug leaks, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have succeeded in what can be shown to whom in their legal conflict with Justin Baldoni, at least for now. The parties have leveled accusations of theft of trade secrets and the disclosure of confidential, sensitive information against one another. Pragmatic Judge Louis J. Lyman noted in a ruling issued Thursday, with some degree of understatement, almost a year before the trial between the It Ends With Us begins in May 2026. The trial between the It Ends With Us? Okay. The court's model protective order is not sufficient for the needs of these cases, the federal judge added, issuing most of the attorney's eyes-only protection that A-listers Lively and Reynolds sought for the discovery process. Unless you've been stuck in space with NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams the past 4 months, you'd know this has been a high-profile matter since Lively filed her sexual harassment and retaliation complaint against Baldoni, his Wayfarer Studios, and others with California's Civil Rights Department on December 20th. At a long March 6 hearing over what the scope of any protective order should be and who should be allowed to look at discovery evidence, Lyman called the gist of the whole thing a feud between PR firms. Certainly in what is now a multi-lawsuit battlefield with hundreds of millions of dollars at stake in potential damages, reputations, and careers, Team Blake and Team Baldoni have both weaponized the court of public opinion as much as the courts themselves to varying degrees. Okay, that's not exactly, it's not exactly even between the amount that the two of them have been asking for anything in the court of public opinion. There was that one article, but that just feels a little bit disingenuous to me. I feel like one of them has been very clear about using the court of public opinion, and it hasn't been Blake. Also, I forgot to update my agenda, so I'm just doing that real quick because I remembered that I had downloaded for it. There we go. All right, let me look at chat here. I got a live. Hi, Ophie. Hello, welcome, Absinthe Angel. Stumbled on it. Oh, her name is Gabriella Detrez. There's a Fandom Wire article about it. Thank you. We'll read that in a bit. I got your message on Patreon. I have the full of that Blake Lively clip up to watch later. Yeah, Baldoni made a fucking website and timeline. That's too far. Right. Like, it's not them both weaponizing the court of public opinion as much as the courts themselves. I feel like Blake very much has been using courts more so than public opinion, but okay. Now, that's to be expected in a case that features PR heavyweights such as Leslie Sloan, Team Blake and a defendant, and Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel, Team Baldoni and also defendants, in the mix, along with the New York Times. In her CRD complaint, a New Year's Eve suit against Baldoni and his inner circle, and in a subsequent amended complaint, Lively has insisted that an astroturfing smear campaign was activated against her last summer by Nathan and Abel as a measure to blunt any accusations of misconduct the Gossip Girl veteran could make public against Jane the Virgin alum leading up to the It Ends With Us film's August 2024 release. Late last year, as text messages between Flax indicate, Abel, in a now-deleted posting, admitted a preemptive attack was considered and planned. However, the former Jonesworks staffer also admitted that such an attack never launched because the internet was doing the work for us against Lively. To that, with lawyers like Baldoni-led attorney Brian Friedman becoming as much a player in the story as the It Ends With Us co-stars, a week after the long New York City hearing on the scope of a protective order, Judge Lyman summed up the reality of the situation today. He wrote, "These cases involve both business competitors and allegations of sexual harm. Discovery will necessarily include confidential and sensitive business and personal information. The risk of disclosure is great. Both the moving parties and the Wayfarer parties have accused opposing parties of providing private, sensitive, or confidential information to the media for their own business and personal advantage in ways that cannot easily be traced. Several individuals and corporations on each side are in the business of public relations or media and have easy access to the press." Leaving little ambiguity about what the rules of engagement will be going forward, Lyman laid out that the following categories of information may be designated attorney's eyes only: trade secrets, confidential business plans, marketing plans, and strategies for clients other than the parties in this litigation, confidential business projects or leads on projects for clients other than the parties in this litigation, confidential creative projects or ideas other than those involved in this litigation, security measures taken by parties or third parties, medical information of parties or third parties, highly personal and intimate information about third parties, and highly personal and intimate information about parties other than information directly relevant to the truth or falsity of any allegation in the complaints in this case. The judge concluded, "The protections conferred by this order cover not only confidential and attorney's eyes only information, but also any information copied or extracted therefrom, as well as all copies, excerpts, summaries, or compilations thereof." Not that Lively and Reynolds got everything they and their lawyers were looking for in the AEO. The court has narrowed the provision to stated that information may be marked AEO if its disclosure is highly likely to cause a significant business, commercial, financial, or privacy injury, Lyman noted Thursday. I don't like this as I'm reading it because I think somebody else pointed this out in chat the other night, but it very much feels like this means we're not going to get a bunch of information about Jed Wallace. This article fucking sucks. Hi, Jules. Totally organic that one of Law's journalist friends told her the video would blow up if she struck while the iron is hot. Jennifer Abel just going on Facebook and writing this long comment in a post will forever be hilarious. I agree. X-Patriarch says yes, as well as the rest of the PR professionals in the group all saying, "You need to stop talking," in unison. We'll get the information if it gets used in court, I guess. That makes sense, at least. But I'm just afraid that they're going to say, oh, actually knowing how we run these campaigns against women is business needs, or whatever. But maybe I'm not understanding it right. In the context and terms that may be subjective in certain lights, as Sloan and her Vision PR filed more paperwork to get themselves dismissed from the case, both Team Blake and Team Baldoni are claiming a win, as they often do in this tit-for-tat. Today, the court rejected the Wayfarer party's objections and entered the protections needed to ensure the free flow of discovery material without any risk of witness intimidation or harm to any individual's security, a spokesperson for Lively told Deadline after Judge Lyman's order hit the federal docket. With this order in place, Ms. Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court. And then this one is from this one's from Friedman, I assume. We are fully in agreement with the court's decision to provide a narrow scope of protection to categories such as private mental health records and personal security measures that have never been of interest to us, as opposed to Ms. Lively's exceedingly overbroad demand for documents over a 2.5-year period of time, which the court rightly quashed, Attorney Friedman asserted for Team Baldoni. We remain focused on the necessary communications that will directly contradict Ms. Lively's unfounded accusations. We will oppose any efforts by Ms. Lively and her team to hamper our client's ability to defend against her attacks by incorrectly categorizing important information as trade secrets, especially considering there were no issues with providing these communications willingly to the New York Times. New York Times published the article, "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Hollywood Smear Machine," about Lively's allegations on December 21st are, like Sloan, attempting to extricate themselves from the legal clash. Lyman was yet to rule or even schedule hearings on both the New York Times and Sloan's efforts. What the judge did make clear in last week's hearing was that he saw a lot of this debate over who sees what when as moot in the big picture. Much of this information will become public as the case goes forward. Okay, good. For example, in motions for summary judgment and, of course, at trial, he said near the end of the over 1 hour March 6th session. There is a public interest in how the courts are being used that the court has to respect. Do they, buddy? Outside of the main event of Lively versus Baldoni, there is also a self-described hired gun and alleged Nathan Powell, Jed Wallace's $7 million suit against Lively. Then there is the Quinn Emanuel represented Stephanie Jones and her Jones Work firm. In a separate case, filed just before Christmas, Jones has taken Baldoni, Wayfarer execs, crisis PR boss Nathan and Abel to court for defamation and breach of contract. Abel was an employee of Jones Work and Baldoni was a client until last year when both bolted and Abel formed her own PR firm, RWA Communications. Okay. I'm on the one hand, I'm glad for, like, we will see things that come out in court, and on the other hand, I kind of don't think that it's for the best that all of this continues to be so spectacle-y. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So, yeah, let's see what the comments look like. CIA guy is hard at work. All the lawyers I've seen talk about this, reading every line of the complaints, amendments, and judges' comments, have said that this was largely a win for Baldoni, with a small concession towards Blake's requests that is protective and fair to both sides. Sheesh! Wow, Blake and Ryan's team must be working overtime to try to make everything believe this was a big win when it really isn't. She didn't get access to what she really wanted, LOL. This was a big win for Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, and all his clients. The judge was fair. All information relevant in the case will be public. That is awesome. Yes, it's a win for Lively, as in the public has no interest as to when her last eye appointment was. However, any text between Lively and her celebrity friends, as it pertains to taking over It Ends With Us movie, that will be mad public eventually, and is a win for Baldoni and team. Am I the only one that really, really doesn't care about this? The trial is next year. Give it a break. You sure you really don't care so much that you leave comments on the topic? Fair enough. Fair enough, Jesse Chow. CIA. The CIA guy thing is wild. Like, it is, I don't understand it. Hey, I think you're right that it might be on the wrong microphone. It definitely says webcam. Hang on. This one's not even plugged in. Oh my god. Y'all, it's gonna get so much better when I figure out my microphone. Hang on. Is it working now? It's like not even, hang on, let me, thank you for saying something. Might have also not been in earlier. I'm gonna try to plug it into my thing instead of the side, because I don't think it was plugged in. Like, it was plugged in, but it didn't even make an unplugged sound just now, so. we're just gonna see if this helps. Okay. It's probably gonna take a moment to realize that it has the Yeti in. Let me know if that changes anything. If it does, it's gonna be one of those moments like the first time I figured it out on stream where it's like wild on the rewatch once it switches. Or else it's still using the webcam mic. I'm not sure. Just checking here. Okay, now it's letting me actually pick the Yeti. Now I am loud. Okay. You are in my brain now. Okay, amazing. Okay, thank you, BC. I did not have the right microphone selected. So this is the good mic now. And I might be a little bit loud, so I'm gonna turn it down from 60 a little bit, I think. 60 might be a little loud. Okay. Let's do like 55. How's that? How's this sound? It's like using mint body wash and you can breathe through your skin. You probably blew up 20 TVs, probably. It's like when I put my hearing aids in. Well, thank you. I'm very glad that we got that. I'm glad that we got that fixed. I'm wearing headphones and that was too sudden. Ophie YouTube ASMR. Nuance corners straight into my brain. This is great. Wonderful. I'm so glad. Okay, perfect. So this is more recent. This is from today, actually updated 57 minutes ago. Justin Baldoni's lawyer addresses possibility of reaching settlement with Blake Lively before trial. It ends with a settlement? Think again. Amid the legal saga involving the Justin Baldoni and his It Ends With Us co-star Blake Lively, the Jane the Virgin alum's lawyer Brian Friedman shared why he feels the case is unlikely to be resolved before it goes to trial in May 2026. Justin has been destroyed by this, Friedman said of his client during the March 12th episode of the podcast, The Town. This is a really serious thing in this day and age. The only way that you can truly get back is to prove your innocence. That's what we're actively working toward. So that may only be able to be done in a courtroom. While host Matt Baloney argued that the intense public interest in the matter and damage to both sides would incentivize a settlement for both parties, Friedman saw things differently. You keep referring to it as a circus, and I get it, the attorney countered. But the reality is, this is not a circus when you go through an experience like this. Buddy, you're the fucking ringleader. I hate this guy so much. Like, this is so stupid. Justin was destroyed by the word no. God, shut up. Yes. That's why you shouldn't sexually harass people and smear them and fire your publicist. Yes. Yeah, Justine. Well, no, they're not going to talk about settling until they settle. Unless they settle, why would they give up any leverage by looking desperate? Right. That's the thing. And also, I just want to say, I don't understand how it is legal for Brian Friedman to be running around doing podcasts. Like, I don't understand how that's allowed. Why is he allowed to be doing this? Like, there's not an equal on like there's not anybody on Blake Lively's side running around doing podcasts. We don't have her lawyer being like, well, actually, like, they want to say that Blake is the one who's weaponizing, like, the media or whatever. I haven't heard basically jack shit directly from Blake's lawyer because Blake's lawyers are communicating with the judge. I think, yeah, maybe Blake's team is just saving everything he says to use against him in court. I think so, too. And this is why they were asking for the gag order, and then it clearly didn't do anything. I don't know, this article is kind of giving desperate for me, though. It's giving, we're not settling, wink, wink, please give us a good offer. We're fighting till the end. We're not settling. Call us. Yeah. Yeah, you can't prove innocence, just find not guilty or not liable, but that's assuming you care about justice, not just opinion. I think this would get a gag order in Canada. I think it should. I think it absolutely should. Also, I would be interested to see how the discourse would change without Friedman directly giving new talking points to all of the pro-Baldoni people. But I think he would still find a way to do that, because, like, Friedman represents Perez Hilton, and Perez Hilton just so happens to have all the right talking points for Team Baldoni. Interesting. Pro-Baldoni lawyers I've seen talking about this do not appear to have experience in employment or media defamation law. They're pundits, not experts, but JD equals credibility to people who don't know any better. Yep, I agree. Yeah, pundit is the wrong word. They're just talking heads with no real expertise. Clearly, I'm saying this as somebody who did not go to law school. Like, I understand that I did not go to law school, and that somebody who went to law school might have a little bit more understanding than me. But also, I don't think that just having gone to law school, like, there's so many different things that you learn in law school. Like, yeah, maybe you have a better understanding of, like, what, how things work typically. But if this isn't your area of expertise, like, people act like just the fact that you have a degree means that you're automatically smarter than anybody else on this. And it's like, we're all looking at the same shit. We're not going to know what the judge thinks about any of this until we know what the judge thinks about any of this. I also don't know what he means. The reality is that this is not a circus when you go through an experience like this. Like, does he think circus is offensive? As Baldoni's legal war with Lively, which includes lawsuits filed on both sides accusing the other of a smear campaign, rages on, the Gossip Girl alum and husband Ryan Reynolds applied for a protective order earlier this month to keep sensitive information out of the public realm. Judge subsequently approved a modified version of the order with a partial attorney's eyes only, highest level of confidentiality in legal proceedings, according to legal documents viewed by E! News at the time. This also, I mean, if I'm looking at both of them, Blake Lively is prettier than he is. But, like, this is a staged photo of him versus a, like, cameo photo of her. Kind of looks like she's, like, about to say something. Like, he's at the premiere. She's, I think, in the movie. It's just an interesting juxtaposition. They certainly had pictures of Blake Lively at the movie where she was as well put together as he was here. While Friedman argued that the request was overboard and unnecessary, Lively's legal team celebrated the ruling, saying it will ensure the free flow of discovery material. With this order in place, Ms. Lively will move forward in the discovery process to obtain even more of the evidence that will prove her claims in court. For a full timeline of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's ongoing litigation, keep reading. We know that. See, like, these are both, like, comparable pictures. But this feels manipulative to me. Does anybody agree with me on that, or am I being sensitive? Yeah, hers is a candid shot while filming the movie. Yeah, Perez Hilton is Friedman's client, as is Megyn Kelly. When you go through this, kind of sounds like he's talking about his own accusation. I could see that. Not Justin and his dead and sick people parade. Yeah, exactly. It's like a heart surgeon talking about skincare when you have, like, the wrong kind of lawyer commentating on things. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. I'm glad you agree with me. On a serious note, I think Friedman saw how well the memification of legal disputes worked for Depp and are using that in their favor. I agree. Even if lawyer-wise he's acting stupid. The thing is I think he's acting really shady and unethically, but in terms of, like, if we know that what a lawyer's job is to go out there and defend their client or whatever, I mean, I guess he's not even actually being a terrible lawyer. He's just being unethical, like, in terms of how we think about morals. But in terms of, like, if the job of being a lawyer is just to represent your client and to get people on their side, despite the fact that I fucking hate this guy and I think he's evil, I think Brian Friedman is doing a pretty good job as a lawyer. I wish he wasn't. I wish he was doing a much worse job at this. But yeah. Yeah, I think she looks fine, but her red carpets look stunning, so they can't put that next to Justin. Exactly. They had to try to make him look nice. His little fucked up mesh shirt and dusty pink jacket. I hate him. Okay, so I do tend to agree with the people in my chat who said that this was more along the lines of being a win for Blake than a win for Justin. I mean, I think it also does seem like the judge is kind of fine with letting this be a circus. And also, I think if the judge were to say, like, oh, let's do this more privately, then a lot of other people would be like, oh, he has, because I'm already seeing this. I see this all the time because I spent time in the Baldoni Files Reddit, which means all of the pro-Justin Reddits get suggested to me on my Reddit feed. I don't know if anybody else is having this issue. But I see people talking about it, and one of the things that I saw them saying was, sorry, I'm just looking. I got a little bit distracted. Oh my god, I had something and then I lost it. I'm so sorry. It was on the Reddit. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Okay. Embarrassing. It's embarrassing when that happens. Nothing about privacy changed. The AEO definition was also in Friedman's version of the protective order. Very interesting. Okay. Oh, this is what I was going to say. I was going to say I'm already seeing people in the Baldoni Files Reddit saying, like, oh, this judge has shady connections because he's also previously, like, been in things that have celebrities and he knows celebrities before, so I just don't think Baldoni is going to get a fair trial. And they're already saying that they don't think that Baldoni is going to get a fair trial, where I think that if the judge actually was being super fair, Blake would have gotten that fucking gag order. Like, I think there's an opportunity for this judge to be fair. I think Blake still very much might win, but I do personally, like, I don't think that there's any reason to believe that this judge is, like, preemptively biased in Blake Lively's favor. But they do the same shit because this is the same people who did the same shit with Johnny Depp and who were like, he only lost in the UK because that judge was corrupt, or whatever the fuck they say. Apparently they're both using public opinion, yet the only person I've seen on socials be on Blake's side is Ophie. There are a few of us. There's a handful of us. We have ex-patriarch as well. There's so few of us. Like, it's really not, it's not comparable here. Hello, Ariel. I cannot engage with pro-Justin shit. It's like Meghan Markle hate. It enrages me. It's so frustrating. I'm a therapist, and this happens to me in sessions sometimes. If that makes you feel better, it does. It actually totally does. Thank you. Ophie, important information. You can go into your Reddit settings and disable home feed recommendations if you don't want to see pro Baldoni stuff. I didn't know that. That is good to know. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I will definitely do that. OMG, their little QAnon graph about the UK judge. Yes. Yeah. I knew you meant Reddit settings. It's alright. I saw resume, and then before I read it out loud, I knew you meant Reddit. I'm on your wavelength. It's ex-patriarch gets nonstop comments about being paid. I have sometimes gotten one of the ones that made me laugh the most from the whole from the whole Kirsty Flaw sending her people over my way thing. It was like, the way they phrased it was so funny. It was like, so you're the little content creator that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds hired, huh? And it was like, no. You're right, Baldoni's suit is dusty and crusty. I've never seen it before. It's so dusty. It's bad. Anyone else watch the 7-hour thing about the anime voice actor Man the Law? 2 people were doing the same thing there. No, I haven't. Vic Mignona? I'm not familiar with that. Interesting though. So, this is the one we already read. I did also pull up, there's a user in the Reddit, Cat Ortega 118, who has been doing like really helpful to me breakdowns of all the stuff that's going down with the court stuff, because it is just too much to keep track of. I'm not entirely certain what Kat's background is. I do think Kat has said that they have some kind of legal background, or at least they really seem to understand what they're looking at. But they posted about this 4 days ago in Baldoni Files. As expected, Judge Lyman put the protection order in place today. The Lively parties largely received all the changes they asked for to the model. Lively's requested changes are attached here, not the final order. Generally, they didn't get Section 9 deleted, meaning that court mechanisms still exist for challenging the attorney's eyes only. They also didn't get the language about impermissible transmission of the information by internet mechanisms from Section 16, which was likely superfluous. Some of the language, like the definition of AEO from this paragraph 1, was instead moved into Lyman's written order. They got all of their asks in Section 2, the most important of their changes. It's always a big win to convince a judge to move off of their form in any instance. Second, the content creators responded immediately with videos ready to post right after this protective order went up onto Pacer. That's very odd. A number of them are citing the protective order as a win for Baldoni, raising issues never brought up in the motions or hearings about the PO. Some of the creators admittedly did not listen to the hearing. Specifically, claims that AEO was intended to cover all text messages. That was never requested or at issue by any party. Texts about certain topics may be confidential or attorney's eyes only. Claims about information relating to It Ends With Us or the sexual harassment would be covered by attorney's eyes only. This was never requested, although mental health information relating to the impacts of making It Ends With Us or the sexual harassment may be attorney's eyes only. That was not controversial at the hearing. Mutually, it is suggested that Friedman has obtained a win by getting AEO coverage for the Wayfarer parties that was otherwise only requested for Lively and her parties and witnesses. This was never the case. The attached change to the protective order were always designed for all parties and witnesses. Focus on confidentiality of depositions and transcripts with 30-day redaction period. This is from Judge Lyman's form, and neither part sought to change this motion or at the hearing. Confidential deposition testimony would of course become public knowledge by its reference in a motion or its introduction during a trial, but might otherwise remain confidential in the case of a future settlement. The creators, including some attorneys or professed attorneys, seem to be very hung up on the idea that evidence is going to be sealed or unsealed and questioning the secrecy of the depositions. There won't be any sealing or unusual secrecy here. Discovery will generally be expected to proceed out of the public eye. This is entirely normal. Evidence will become known to the public if it is introduced to the court in support of a motion, such as a motion for summary judgment or attached to an opposition, or if it is introduced before jury at a trial. Third, Judge Lyman's orders on the protective order contain a strong sanctions threat. To the extent this order is violated and he can identify a source, there may be severe consequences. Fourth, Boyd Schiller posted their reply brief on behalf of Leslie Sloan's motion to dismiss today. It's very strong, particularly on the group pleading issue. They argue that even if California law were to apply for numerous reasons, the Wayfarer party's case still fails as to Sloan, namely that she never even spoke about 6 of the 7 parties. We might expect a hearing on Sloan in the next 2 weeks. That said, the motion papers are very strong and Lyman could rule on aspects without the hearing. Sloan has argued that the Wayfarer party's case cannot be properly pled as to her, even with leave to amend the complaint. I don't really know how Judge Lyman would navigate that specific situation in a hearing. The Wayfarer party's opposition to the New York Times is due tomorrow. I'll put together another calendar with expected motions and deadlines, orders next week after we know more about the government shutdown. And I thought this was really funny, the top comment. Something tells me that Friedman will not have time tonight for a multi-hour meeting with his client crying in his office. Crying just the one single masculine tear. Like when Blake complimented him as a director. Have fun, Kat. They are dense when Wayfarer tried to bury Stephanie Jones knowing her husband is an associate at WME. I can't believe how, they think that it's, I don't know. I mean, I guess they have to prove everything to be damages or whatever. But, they really think that the fact that he got dropped is, Blake conspiring against him, and not the fact that, when this kind of shit comes out, you are suddenly a huge liability to the people who represent you, and they don't want to represent you anymore. I don't necessarily think that Ryan Reynolds had to make any phone calls to get this guy fired. I think they were just oh, we don't want to have him on our thing. Have y'all gotten your secretly Blake Lively comments on Twitter yet? We used to get secretly Amber ones back in the day all the time. No, they know what I look like. They know I'm not Blake Lively. I think that they do. They do accuse people in my comment section of being bots all the time, though. They don't even pretend it never happened. It's just she's terrible, poor Justin. If Baldoni didn't sexually harass his employee, why go so overboard to deny it? His claim that he didn't sexually harass anyone and also he's a victim is so over the top. Yep. Yeah, they call Aaron a bot, which I thought was really funny. So there was this one Kirsty Flaw defender. And if anybody was like looking around in my comment section before everybody I deleted some of the worst people eventually. But there was this one commenter and he kept being like, he would specifically refer to Kirsty as Miss Flaw. And I had 1,000 comments, like 1,000. Nice round even number. There were 1,000 comments on the Kirsty Flaw is silencing me video. And then I finally comment blocked this one guy who kept saying Miss Flaw. And it went down to 837 comments on the video. He left 200 comments, like almost 200 comments, being completely unhinged. But the only one that made me mad enough to reply to is this guy who did not have a single video on his own profile. Like, he has not uploaded anything, and he's just been commenting. He accused Aaron, the junk farm, of being a bot that I was using to ragefully interact in my comments. And I was like, buddy, you don't have any videos on your profile, and you can click on Aaron's videos and see his farm, and that he is a real person. Like, I hope Kirsty Flaw is paying you very well, or else you are wasting your time and also making yourself look very foolish. And then he basically was like, well, it's interesting that this is what finally got you to respond, so maybe that means I'm right. But like, that was it. That was the thing that made me like so angry that I was like, I will finally respond after almost 200 unhinged comments. I will finally respond just to tell you how dumb you look for pretending like somebody who has videos on their YouTube channel is my alt. Like, that's just offensive. It's offensive to me, it's offensive to my commenters, and it is offensive to the intelligence of anyone reading it. We're gonna watch this Blake video later, actually. I didn't mean to move right into that one. But yeah, that was the one. That was the one that got me mad enough. Yeah, it was Magnus. We found Magnus. It was like the username was like Tom Lloyd or something like that. But I did wonder if that was an alt. Was that my best friend Tom Lloyd? I was having the time of my life with that guy. Yes. Incredible. If Blake was paying me, I'd have a phone that could focus in my trailer. That's the other thing. Like, if they were paying me, my production quality would be a little better. I'm sorry. I'm making money in that I make money from YouTube. I make money from like AdSense. I have Patreon and stuff. So like, in a way, yes, I am being paid to defend Blake Lively, but I am not being paid by anybody associated with Blake Lively. Once again, I want that Mint Mobile sponsorship so bad, even though I wouldn't actually be being paid from Ryan Reynolds. I think it would melt people's brain. Okay, so this is something that was posted 7 hours ago in Baldoni Files, and it looks like somebody wrote a letter to the Baha'i Universal House of Justice, which is, that's their, like, highest ranking authority, the one that women can't serve on, even though it's a super, super feminist religion. And somebody wrote them a letter on March 8th, and it looks like they said, Dear esteemed members of the Universal House of Justice, I hope this letter finds you in good health. My name is D.C. Shepherd, and I am writing to you as someone who, although not a follower of the Baha'i Faith, and in fact currently a vocal critic of it, just deeply respects many of its espoused teachings. I have always admired the values of unity, justice, and integrity that the Baha'i community strives to uphold. My complaint, and the reason I did not declare, is primarily about the execution of those values throughout history, particularly with respect to the intolerance non-binary, transgender, and other queer persons such as myself have suffered. However, it is in this spirit of respect for principles that I bring to your attention a matter of significant concern, despite my frequent this is a hard word for me. Polemicism? I've seen this word around, I just don't know how to pronounce it. It doesn't even give me an immediate, how do you pronounce this? Now it's going to bother me. Oh, is it because is it because polemics is the real word?
Polemics.
Okay, so polemics is the real word, and then I think they were adjusting the word. So despite my frequent polemicism, I think is how I would say that. The recent public behavior of Jamie Heath, Justin Baldoni, Steven Sarowitz, and other Baha'i employees and leaders at Wayfarer Foundation and Wayfarer Studios has drawn widespread criticism and has damaged the reputation of the Baha'i community. Their actions, particularly regarding the situation involving Blake Lively, have been at odds with the ostensible values of the Baha'i faith and have brought negative attention to the community. As someone who values integrity and ethical conduct, I find this situation troubling and believe it warrants serious consideration. I respectfully request that the Universal House of Justice investigate this matter and hold the individuals involved accountable for their behavior. It is essential that the actions of a few do not overshadow the positive contributions of the many devoted members of the Baha'i community. Your guidance and leadership in addressing this issue will help restore the dignity and honor of the Baha'i faith and reinforce the values that it stands for. I appreciate your attention to this matter and look forward to any actions you may decide to take. With respect, D.C. Shepherd. So basically, they ratted this guy out to the Baha'i Universal House of Justice. They were like, you seeing this shit? And then it looks like they did get a response just today, March 17th, 2025, transmitted by email. Your email of March 8th, 2025, sent to gonebahai@bwc.org and addressed to the Universal House of Justice concerning 3 members of the Baha'i community in your country, has been received at the Baha'i World Center and passed to our office for reply. While there are many accusations circulating on social media, a tool that easily exasperates partisan views, the issue you have mentioned essentially involves differences between 2 parties that are before the court. It is there where all the facts will be considered and the matter addressed. Office of Correspondence. So I think basically they just responded to be like, well, we're gonna see what happens in court. Yeah. Polemicism, exactly right. Good, I'm glad I got it. If they were paying Ophie, she'd have a mic that always worked. Exactly. That is how you could tell. Womb world is more important than religious leadership. Womp womp world. God. I feel like we always end up at Womb World when we stream. So okay, we already read that one. And then I think this is pretty much the same information that we have already read about the attorney's eyes only. Oh, there's more quotes here though. There is an insatiable appetite for any information about this case, no matter how benign it is. Lively's attorney, Meryl Gavernsky, told New York Judge Louis Lyman during a telephone conference earlier this month. The defendants have bragged in text messages about being able to publish information without fingerprints. So I think this is just explaining what they were asking for on Lively's side. Gavernsky said one category of information that needs to be kept between lawyers related to medical information, including mental health, and that personal and intimate conversations with unrelated third parties must be kept out of the public eye because, while the public relations value would be high, the evidentiary value would be virtually non-existent. Non-existence. Lyman went ahead and ruled in favor of Lively's request on Thursday, agreeing that highly personal and intimate information about third parties will only be seen by lawyers. Neither Lively nor Baldoni will have access to the information, which includes details about the actors, such as medical records, trade secrets, and security measures taken by each. While Baldoni's lawyers did not object to certain material being kept from the press and public, they argued that being unable to share the findings with their clients would make it difficult to litigate the case and potentially lead both sides to raise additional legal arguments. Lyman limited the attorney's eyes-only material to information that was highly likely to cause a significant business, commercial, financial, or privacy injury. He noted that confidentiality would speed up the discovery process. And then we've got a link to the website. Early last month, Baldoni's legal team launched a website containing documents and text messages linked to the case. Lively later requested that certain material be categorized as attorney's eyes only after she said she received violent, profane, sexist, and threatening communications after speaking out. Baldoni's legal team then accused Lively of trying to shield from public view documents and information exchanged herein for the sake of her reputation. Given how actively the Lively parties have publicized and litigated Miss Lively's claims in the media, we are surprised to now learn how vehemently she wants to prevent the public from accessing material and relevant evidence, Baldoni's legal team wrote in a letter to the judge. And the trial date is set for May 29th, 2026, which, if Friedman does not take a big fat break on his fucking press tour about all of this shit, I feel like we're gonna be talking about this so many times before the trial even starts, and then the trial is gonna take forever. It's awful. So Justin Baldoni's own church is saying posting on social media is manipulative and the only thing that matters is court. Yeah, it really, I don't know what else the board possibly could have said other than being like, hey, it's fine. Rather than being like, hey, we're going to see what happens. I don't think that they could have, before something come out, be like, well, we hate this guy and we're going to excommunicate him. I also don't necessarily know that they would excommunicate him once things come out in court. But, that response isn't very surprising to me. The Baha'i House of Justice and Wayfarer Studios both hate this one trick, conducting an independent investigation into sexual harassment allegations. Litigate the case in the court of public opinion. Also, I think that insisting on getting Blake's personal information is legal abuse or whatever that's called. I think so too. I think also the fact that they're trying to insist on it being Friedman who takes her deposition is shitty as hell. I think that's really awful. Also, journalists did expose her complaints first. So she had clearly was in the works with the New York Times article for a while before it came out. I'm for sure about that. But also because when it was published, it was suddenly published with Baldoni's lawyer's response by a bunch of other publications, like TMZ first, I think, and then a bunch of other ones. It's very clear when you actually look at the timeline of when things were uploaded. Even though Blake was probably working with the New York Times on that article first, once they got it and they were asked to reply to it, during that stretch of time that they boo-hoo about wasn't enough time and that they're suing the New York Times for breaching contract by publishing a little bit early, during that period of time, Baldoni's team was shopping around Blake's entire complaint to other publications who then scooped the New York Times on it. And we know that they got it from Baldoni's side because it was being published along with Baldoni's lawyer's refutation. It is so frustrating. Yeah, they are just asking to taint the jury pool. That's why I'm saying, I do wish that more of this would stay private, just completely. I wish that there was a way that they could just do this quickly and easily. But yeah, as far as I know, both Baldoni and Lively have requested a jury trial. So it's they both want the jury, and I think a jury is probably not a terrible idea, other than the fact that, again, anybody scrolling social media between last August and now has been a little bit jury spoiled for this trial. They have been very, very successful. Which is very frustrating. I think it would be great if they put out a, no, our faith doesn't mean someone can do no wrong. He's human, but no church or faith I know would ever do that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very nervous about the jury. I think the jury was absolutely 100% tainted in the case of Amber Heard, and I also think though that even Depp's lawyers knew that, which is why they settled instead of actually letting her take her appeal. I think that they fucking knew. I mean, there was somebody in the fucking jury for Depp versus Heard who like wasn't even actually who was supposed to be there because he showed up for his dad or whatever. Like that was so fucked. I don't think anyone in Manhattan or LA is gonna think the naked CEO video is okay. Yeah, that's the other thing is like if these people are like actually able to look at all of the evidence, I think it'll make sense. Yeah, he's thankfully nowhere near as famous and beloved as Depp. There's like a there's some people who have certainly like jumped on to him because they enjoyed the rush and the high of defending Johnny Depp or whatever. But I don't, I don't think that it's gonna be like. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I think that it's more based on hatred of Blake Lively than it is on support of Justin Baldoni. And there was certainly a lot of just outright hatred of Amber Heard, but I feel like people hated Amber Heard because they felt like they were protecting Johnny Depp from her. And I don't know that Baldoni garners that many protective feelings in people. I'm mad forever I didn't hear about the settlement for years because it felt like that news got squashed the same way the trial was boosted for Depp versus Heard. Yep. Yeah, I was waiting for everybody to bring that up, but they didn't because it pretty much admits that fucking Depp knew he got lucky. He knew he was never going to win again. And that's why they didn't let her actually fight it. Yes, it is. The CEO video is the birth video. It is described in Blake's complaint as having like she thought that it was a naked video and that it was a video of the wife giving birth. And then in Baldoni's response, they put a screenshot of the birth video with the naked wife in the water tub, and Jamie Heath is behind her in the video. Which, as far as I'm concerned, I think that it was kind of nice of Blake not to even mention that Jamie Heath was in the video. Like she made it sound slightly less weird than it actually was. The fact that the birth video was shown to argue with her that her character would give birth naked and followed up with, well, my wife isn't weird about this, is insanely malicious. It's so fucking weird. It's so creepy. Yeah, Expatriarch has a video of the timeline when Blake's complaint was exposed to TMZ and the rest of the tabloids. Highly recommend. I think I saw that one in Baldoni Files, but it's really, really helpful. Why are we all being subjected to Jamie Heath's weird heterosexual exhibitionist thing? Court stuff in general makes me nervous because people take it as, oh, well, now legally you can't say he's a creep. Yeah, yes. I get comments sometimes on that one video that I have that's like, what could change my mind now? And people are like, I can't believe that you said that even if she doesn't win in court, you're still gonna believe her. And it's like, if she doesn't win in court, it is because the jury was stupid. And I do not outsource my critical thinking that way. It just makes me feel nuts. I think it would be actionable if he was shirtless playing touch football in a park, actually. Depp has massive support on and offline. Meanwhile, as evidenced by that protest at South by Southwest, people do not give a shit about Justin Baldoni offline. Yeah, I will forever call Justin Baldoni a creep. It's so creepy, and Blake Lively has 4 kids. I'm pretty sure she knows what giving birth is like already. Yes, exactly. Yes, though maybe she didn't know he was going to appear because she only saw a bit of it. Yeah, that's true. They might have tried to pick a specific still for the complaint back to try to make it sound less bad. But like, again, if what she saw was Jamie Heath and his wife, and they're both like in this like dark grainy water tub, like I completely understand why people thought that it was I understand why Blake would have seen it and been like, oh my god, is this porn? And then been like, oh well, it's not porn, but it's still a naked video of someone giving birth, and I didn't want to see that at work. To be completely honest, prior to this case, I had no idea about Baldoni, but I, as someone with minor face blindness, could recognize Blake. All Baldoni really has is a pretty decent sob story to go with. Pull 12 people off the street. Unfortunately, you grab idiots. It's inevitable. Exactly. I think a jury trial is preferable to just leaving things up to a judge. But still. Wasn't the lady protesting a right-wing influencer? She was. She actually, that lady is, she's in, like, pro Marilyn Manson spaces on YouTube. Her entire thing is anti-Me Too, which, you know, all of these other ostensibly conservative, ostensibly progressive, all these progressive content creators who are so offended by being pointed out as a right-wing pipeline, even though this is the kind of person they're hanging out with. Meanwhile, a major pro-Baldoni content creator is currently doxing a black woman. Wild. Is this the thing about the hotel lobby? Because I have a video open for that. Like in the Baldoni file Reddit that I would like to watch, but I haven't looked very much into the whole I know there's something about somebody was claiming that they were filming Blake at a hotel lobby and stuff. Yeah. I feel more confident with a judge personally. Yeah, I mean, I would like to be able to trust this judge. And I understand the concept of a jury. Like, I understand why people would want a jury trial, but also I don't think that the average person who's going to be on a jury about this has any kind of understanding about, like, sexual harassment dynamics. So it's frustrating. There's nothing wrong with a birth video is insane if your workplace doesn't involve professionally seeing births on videos. Exactly. Even if somebody was a doula and they were shown a video without permission of a coworker's wife giving birth, they would have the right to be upset and not want to see that. That would still be fine to be uncomfortable about. I feel like it's possible they think they are demonstrating their goodness and safeness towards women, but putting the women under their control on display to prove their high value as a man. Yeah. Colonel Kurtz is such an op. Yeah, fucking... And you know, like, I saw just like, oh, there's this one person protesting, and I was kind of like, oh, whatever, pathetic. But then when I realized that it was a content creator who was very clearly, like, there to up her own public image and try to make herself look more serious and more involved or whatever, it is just so intensely pathetic. And then because it could always get a little bit more pathetic with these people, you know who had her on her channel last week? Kirsty Flaw. Kirsty Flaw is having like a greatest hits rotation of all of the Blake haters. She had Sloan first, which I think she got Sloan because she copyright struck him, as we've already discussed. She got Daily Dose of Dana on there most recently. She had Colonel Kurtz. I don't know. I don't think Candace Owens has time for her, but I think she would love to have Candace Owens there so that she can go off on another little rant about how terrible it is that people are calling her an alt-right pipeline. I think a huge problem this entire thing has highlighted is how many people think it isn't sexual harassment if you don't think it is, rather than consider the viewpoint of the person who feels unsafe. Yes! And so many people, the way that they come to me about it is they'll say, like, they'll say, I've actually been sexually harassed, and therefore I know what it's like, and I know what it's like so much that I can completely say that that's not what happened to Blake Lively. And Blake Lively is is causing real damage to the real victims like me because I was actually sexually harassed. And it's like, baby girl, what you don't understand is that somebody could come right up behind you and say, random name and letters YouTube profile has not actually been sexually harassed because I've been sexually harassed because a worse thing happened to me. Like, you lose the game. You lose as soon as you start playing into that kind of rhetoric. As soon as you start saying, I actually understand what this is like, and therefore this other person's experience is not valid, it's over. They convinced you to be a misogynist. And if you feel embarrassed when somebody points that out, it's because you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. Like, that's just how it works. I'm not gonna make you feel better about the fact that you got called an alt-right pipeline. I would be okay with it, then it's not sexual harassment. Nope, solidarity with everyone who's dealt with it. It's humiliating. Exactly. I hate that, though they shut up right away when I say I have also been sexually harassed, and I do consider this harassment. Yeah. Someone in Taylor's video with Ophie said she was very far left, but she doesn't believe Blake because of her behavior. And, like, I don't know, not very leftist of you to not believe her because of how she acted. Agreed. Completely agree. Yeah. You cannot personally know someone else's boundaries. And the thing is again, we always come back to this when we're talking about this. We see things even in Baldoni's response. We see Baldoni saying, well, we were told that Justin Baldoni can come into the hair and makeup trailer one time while she was pumping. So therefore we had access. We had the permission and the consent to go. Sorry, I'm burping. We had her permission and her consent to go into her trailer anytime we felt like it. Because she told us one time that we could meet her in hair and makeup. So therefore, we always had permission. But then people come to me and they pretend like my opinion is based completely only on the New York Times article and that I haven't also read the documents. Because they say, read the documents. I'm sorry, everything I read in those documents from Baldoni just confirmed to me that he fucking did it and he doesn't think it's bad because he thinks she's a mean lady. Like, that's not compelling to me. And if it's compelling to you, I think less highly of your intelligence. I just do. I can't help it. There was a post I reposted on Blue Sky the other night that said basically, like, you can tell that a lot of people in our current, like, intellectual and political moment think that the key to being smart is that you actually just completely credulously accept whatever the second thing you heard on a topic is. And I think that's so real. I think so many people just want to be able to feel smart. And so therefore they were, like, so excited to be able to come in and have, like, a different opinion that didn't require them to stand with a woman after they had read that New York Times article. And also, you know, the thing I always say about how, like, it's easier to convince somebody that they were in fact correct all along and that there's a million little tiny conspiracies against this compared to that they were wrong and needed to reevaluate things. It's that too, but, like, it's so frustrating. It's the same thing they did with Watch the Trial. You'd tell them, I've been following this case since the UK trials. I've read and seen it all. And they'd be like, no, you didn't watch the trial. And they watched it via, like, a streamer who was sitting there eating Sour Patch Kids and making Amber Turd jokes. That's what they mean when they say they watched the trial. They mean it was probably muted most of the time while Amber was speaking, and that they watched a bunch of, like, sassy Johnny Depp moment compilations. Like, I do not believe anybody who says that they watched the trial. I didn't even watch the trial. Justin's own publicist called him pompous and said he needed to be humbled. Yup. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not even gonna end the stream. I just need to run downstairs and start my laundry because I abandoned my stuff down there when I saw that all of the washers and dryers were used. What I'm going to do is shut off my camera and my microphone, but I should be back in like 5 minutes. I just have to go downstairs, start laundry, and then come back up, and then we'll keep streaming. But I think that seems better to me than leaving and coming back. So that's what I'm going to do. But I will be back very very soon. I'm just grabbing laundry. I should probably pin something in the chat. Pinning a message. I'll BRB. I'm starting laundry. I should get like a be right back screen or something. Um, but I'm just gonna pin that. Okay, because I was like, you know what? I could just body double with myself. But then I didn't actually get to start my laundry before because there's only two of each downstairs. So I will be right back. I love you very much. No pressure if you don't stick around while it's quiet, but I'll probably still be going for a little bit. So I will be back. Why, if I said remove, why would I want to retract it and leave it pinned? Why would anybody ever possibly want that? Clearly, I meant unpin message. Okay. Hello, I'm back. I've started my laundry. That's the I live in like an apartment unit, and we've got 2 washers and 2 dryers downstairs, and usually they're all empty, but they were all they were all being used when I started, and I told myself I'll stream for about half an hour until the washers are free, and then I streamed for an hour. But now I have the washing machine started. I'll go down in like half an hour-ish to put it in the dryer. But hello, I'm back. Thank you to anybody else who's doing laundry with me here. Why have I stacked half my earthly belongings on my bed? I'm so bad at doing that. Currently, it's just I can show you Jojo. You're getting never before seen room angles here. Jojo is currently sitting on the bed while we're waiting to make it. She loves an empty bed, and my blanket and my Snoopy jammies. Maybe I should have just put the camera on Jojo while I left. She probably would have moved if I would have done that though, so it's fine. So if she doesn't come over for a little bit, it's because she's taking a nap. Why would anyone possibly want that is what Blake said in her head when she saw the birthing video. Ooh, I have a portable washer dryer and it can do the teeniest, tiniest loads on God's green earth. One time, when I was too sick to go downstairs for my laundry, I washed my laundry in my bathtub. And I was like, honestly, I could do that more often. Like, the worst part was trying to wash it, like trying to dry it afterwards, but like hand washing wasn't that bad. She bed too big for the goddamn cat. She's so small. Like I guess you see her pretty frequently on the channel. I don't know if it comes across how little she is, but like I think she's very small for a cat. I mean, I guess she's not like tiny, but she's very light and she's very small. When I pick her up, it's like she doesn't even weigh anything. The woman of all time. Jojo, they love you. Will you come here? Will you get up from your nap? What about for a treat? What about for a treat? She's thinking about it. She's very much just not as interested. You want this? You can have it. Ooh, big stretch. Big stretch. Look at that tiny girl. Hi. Come here. Come get that treat. Come get that treat. She don't even care. Yeah. Okay. No, she looks like Godzilla up against the camera. Right, because she loves to come be very, very close. Jojo, come here. Everybody wants to see you. Everybody online wants to see you. She's just blinking at me from the bed. Hi, baby. Come here. Come right over this way. Now she's coming. She just did big stretches across the bed. Come on up. Come on up. Everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see. They want to watch you. Good job. Good job, Jojo. Wow. That's amazing. Oh, we got to jump on camera. Perfect. All right. Now, how do I make sure she's actually in here? There it is. That's my baby. Look at that kitty. She's so beautiful. I can tell I just woke her up from the nap because she's not even going for the treats yet. She's just like, why am I being spoken to? Jojo, hi. Okay. Very sorry to anybody who doesn't particularly care about my cat, but you are very outnumbered on this channel. We always spend a little bit of time dealing with JoJo when I'm live. There she is. That's my baby. Now she's eating her treats. Can I get you in the camera? There we go. Now that's a poor little meow meow. We all care. Good. Excellent. Perfect. Hi. Come on over. Nope. Okay. I think she's leaving. It is called Meow Meow Updates, to be fair. Hi, baby cats. Okay. Now she's moving to my towel on top of the dresser. Hi, baby. Okay. We just interrupted her nap for almost no reason, but she got a treat out of it, so I don't feel that bad about it. There was someone in the comments who got mad you don't sit and look directly into the camera, but it's clearly because there's always the chance for JoJo to appear. Hello, Meow Meow. Oh, hi, just finished work, checking in for Meow Meow duties. Excellent. You were summoned once again. She's the only Meow Meow I want to hear from. I'll personally fight anyone who says shit about JoJo. Somebody one time left me like a kind of mean comment on my video about Swoop, and then they were like, "But your cat is pretty cute, I guess." And I was like, She is very cute." I keep getting distracted by your Chapel Roan chapel. I was so excited about the new chapel photos. Somebody on Blue Sky said that this is the most gay background that I could have put together without putting up a pride flag, which I think is pretty true. And I also thought that was very funny. Okay, so let's get back to the stream as much as I love sitting and talking about my cat. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, you can see I was looking for a "we'll be right back" because I realized, even though I pinned the thing, I was realizing that people might have popped in right as I was gone and been like, "Why is it dark?" So also you can see I'm getting notifications for my own channel over on the channel I actually watch things for. Okay, a little embarrassing. Okay, so I was sent this on my Patreon earlier. We were just talking toward the end of the first stream. I mentioned that, like, even that one answer from the press tour for It Ends With Us that got really circulated, I didn't think was all that bad on Blake's part, if only because it was specifically Sony's fault for not very much hammering a very well media-trained answer into her that said, "Oh, I would suggest that they call a hotline or something." And somebody pointed out that, of course, as should not be surprising to me, there was actually more to that interview than what was circulated on TikTok and stuff. I don't know if the person who made this little this one here, this interview, I don't know if this person is as likely to copyright strike me as Kirsty Flaw was. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping the recap with Julie is nice. So this is from 7 months ago. Blake Lively interview, what you didn't see. Blake Lively is being criticized for how she's handled her interviews. I think it's important to see the whole interview before coming to a conclusion. Let me know your thoughts. And also, the audio is still probably going to be kind of weird for this. So it'll sound worse than otherwise, I think. But I still haven't figured out how to fix it, and we haven't watched a video on stream in a little bit.
Blake Lively is being criticized for the way she's handled herself during interviews for the movie It Ends With Us, which deals with domestic violence.
Well, I could unmute it. If I unmute it, it'll probably sound a little bit better, but it probably won't sound that great.
Blake Lively is being criticized for the way she's handled herself during interviews for the movie It Ends With Us, which deals with domestic violence. A lot of the criticism is coming from one interview in particular, where Blake is asked a question about people who want to ask her about domestic violence. Now, Blake actually jokes about the way he's asked her this question, and a lot of people have only seen this part of the clip. Check it out.
They're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their life. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you, and then we could
The person interviewed.
Okay, also, first of all, I'm seeing people in chat saying Julie is not likely to copyright strike me. That's good to know. She seems like she's on our side here. Also, as I've always said about Blake's answer to this question, like, while it is not perfect, because I do think a perfect answer would probably be like, hey, I'm not actually able to do that kind of thing, but there are people who would. Like, I do think that would have been like a better answer, but also the question is fucking weird and parasocial, and I don't actually think that by being in a movie about domestic violence, you are like signing yourself up to be expected to constantly be able to help support people who are like going through similar things in their own lives. So I'm not really personally offended by Blake taking kind of like, even in the part that is clipped, I'm not really super offended by Blake's answer here. It's nowhere near as offensive to me as, for example, putting out a smear campaign against the lead in your movie after you sexually harassed her is.
Viewing her even starts to kind of banter back with her and joke along as well.
I'm just curious about
social security number.
I'm a Virgo, so I'm like, are we talking logistics? Are we talking emotionally?
So that is basically all people have seen of this interview, was Blake and the reporter kind of bantering back and forth about this. Now, unfortunately, nobody has seen the rest of the interview where Blake actually does answer the question. The reporter was actually interviewed as well with Fox News about his take on this, and this is what he had to say.
Many are accusing Blake Lively of using the film's promotional campaign to promote things other than the movie, like her hairline, or a lot of the interviews give off a fun, flowery image, and not using the movie to discuss the far more serious topic of domestic violence. And a now viral TikTok is using her reaction to our interview question as sort of an exhibit A to seemingly exemplify that she's not taking the topic seriously enough. However, she does seem to have gotten the message. Yesterday, Lively took to Instagram to provide information and help for those who are dealing with domestic violence. And I also would like to add that after sort of she made those comments about my initial question, she did go on to answer the question. Right. That part isn't necessarily ending up in anyone's viral TikTok videos. The movie and now, with her help on social media, the word is now getting out there.
Good.
So here is the way that Blake actually answered.
Also, there's I just put the link to her video in the chat. This is only at like 26,000 views, and it only has like 58 likes. So like, if you're watching this and you appreciate that Julie is being pro Blake, maybe do me a favor, click on the link and like the video, just so that we can give her a little bit of traffic here. But I think this is really helpful, and thank you very much for sending this to me.
Answered the question.
Yeah, what's been beautiful about this movie is that, like, unfortunately, we all know at least someone, but we normally know like a lot more than some ones. We know some manys who have experienced this, and the beauty of this has been to see people and to see this movie alongside women who haven't experienced this. Thank goodness. Go, whoa! It was I fell in love too. I saw the red flags, but they didn't look red. They looked kind of fuchsia and cute. But I ignored them, and I see why. And the story is told with such empathy that I feel like this movie can be healing. It can be a cautionary tale, and it can also it can be inspiring. So I think that the movie itself and Colleen's work itself does that work. And for anyone, if anyone ever comes up to you and says that your work meant something to them outside of just having that collective experience in a theater where you laugh and cry and feel together, like, what a blessing. Like, what, the fact that we get to do this and it gets to meet.
I'm pausing just to say Blake's answer here is so much less off-putting to me than Baldoni's fucking weepy, "That's my dream. That's my literal dream with the movie. It's that I would hear from a man that he would stop abusing his wife, or that a woman was going to leave her husband," or whatever. Like, I think Blake, in fact, is less off-putting in the press for this than Justin was, personally.
Something is like, yeah, is really significant.
Another clip from that interview has also gone viral. It's where Blake talks about having toxic masculinity and not crying during the film. Check this out.
Do you cry at your own movies?
I suffer from toxic masculinity. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. I cry
She
when
hit me when I started crying. Yeah. Said, get those tears back in there, boy.
So again, that is all people saw of that small clip from the interview, but this is how she actually answered the question.
This movie, it still makes me cry. Yeah, there are still moments that I love these characters so deeply, and I'm so proud of the work that we all did in this movie. And that's, every single member on screen, all the people off screen. It was such a collective effort to get what you see on screen. And
that's so frustrating. I am not surprised at all that they are selectively edited and maliciously circulated like that, but that's ridiculous that people are like, they're so willing to be like, she was always talking about her hair, she was always being silly, always being goofy, and it's like, how much of the press tour did any of these people actually watch? Yeah, she doesn't seem as performative. She doesn't sound as performative as him. I agree. Literally, one of the only things that's gotten me to dislike Blake is her saying Colleen Hoover's books do any work helping DAV victims. Yeah, she's real and unrehearsed. Of course, she's sometimes messy. This one was kind of funny, not gonna lie. Yeah. I disagree with Blake, but it's such a better answer. I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Heaven forbid a woman makes a mildly abrasive joke. Right. Yes, I agree. And I do think it sounds like she understood the movie better than Baldoni, because Baldoni would be talking about how, like, this is a movie about how it's so sad that a man lost his family. Blake's answer very much seems like someone on the outside not trying to talk as an expert on the topic. Baldoni, on the other hand, yes, I agree, ex-patriarch. And that's, again, what I'm saying, like, I see sometimes people want to criticize Blake Lively and be like, she's not a good victim advocate. And it's like, the only capacity in which Blake Lively has been a victim advocate was when she was advocating specifically for the other women on the set with her. Like, she advocated for the other women. She advocated for Jenny Slate and Isabel Ferrer. I've never seen Blake Lively brand herself as a feminist. I've never seen her brand herself as somebody who is, like, doing a ton of work for victim advocacy, because that's not a requirement. She's an actress in a movie, in a rom-com movie for a book that the author signed off on a coloring book of. Like, we are being so ridiculous to pretend like this was supposed to have a somber marketing thing. It very much was not. I'd rather a good person not say everything right than a duplicitous person use all the buzzwords like his responses were written by committee. I agree. I completely agree. Her discussion about how it can provide a way for women to empathize and learn the red flags and understand and experience about outside their own, it's kind of a great answer. I agree. Like, it's not, other than the fact that she, like, went a little bit sarcastic with, like, oh, do they want to share my location? Do they want to share whatever? Like, other than that, it's a completely and perfectly fine answer, and I don't even think joking a little bit about, like, oh, do you want to location share? What are the logistics of this? I don't think that's that bad, because it's a weird, like, on-the-spot question. Oh, have a good night, Justine. Not every woman needs to be unendingly empathetic, despite what Justin says. Yes, Ex-patriarch, that's such a good point. She's being ripped for not being a victim advocate while literally fighting for safety protections in her workplace at the cost of her own reputation and sanity. And that's also why I would give her, like, so much pass if she had done much worse on this press tour than I think that she had. Like, if she had, like, gone on this press tour and been, like, I know Tara Mooney talked about this, but, like, if it was, like, Robert Pattinson levels of like shitting on it, I would have thought that was pretty rational. Like I would have maybe thought it was a little shitty at, like as it was happening before we knew more, but then once it came out that she had shit going on, like no, I don't at all think that it would have been awful for her to be like, yeah, I don't know what I want people to get out of this movie I was sexually harassed on the set of. Like the fact that she was able to promote it at all, she did good. She also made legit reputational sacrifices to protect the anonymity of the other cast members. I agree. And he is an outspoken male feminist. He needs to listen and believe that he made her uncomfortable at the bare minimum. Yep. Did you consider Baldoni made a video about Me Too, all about how hard everything is for men? Yeah, I think her bad answers are because she was actively being traumatized. The bad answers are his fault too. Yes. Also, Justin's response is so self-glorifying. I'm the hero. I am helping women escape abuse. I'm helping men stop abusing. But Blake doesn't seem to have an inflated sense of self about this. I agree. I think so too. It's a movie of a Coho book. I would have loved if she just made fun of it, honestly. Yeah. Given the question, I don't think the joke is unreasonable at all. It's dangerous to both people for someone without adequate experience. It's dangerous to both people for someone without adequate experience or training to try to help a stranger through that. I completely agree, Vex. It's not reasonable. It's not. And I remember talking about this all the way back when I made my video about like 13 Reasons Why. I remember being really put off by how the teenagers in that cast were talking even in promo about like how it's so meaningful when people come up to them and ask them like hey, or tell them rather like, hey, I was so impacted by your tragedy porn show and it meant a lot to me. And I was saying in that video, like fucking a year and a half ago or whatever, that was such a weird position that they were putting those teen actors from 13 Reasons Why in, where like, just because you were in this movie where you acted these heavy things, that you are now responsible for people who were triggered or like activated by that. That is not what people sign on to when they act in something. Actually, he did listen and believe he made her uncomfortable. He told his PR team that she believes in what she's doing, so he believes that she's uncomfortable around her. He just wants to punish her for it. Yes. Those messages where he's like, Blake thinks that she's in the right are like so damning to him. And just another thing on the long list of shit that Baldoni is constantly putting out that neither he nor his team seems to understand is like actually, it looks so bad for him. Everything that I've seen looks so fucking bad. I think she's done other stuff poorly, but I do find myself thinking she comes off relatable, likable, and being glad that she was trying to stand up for other people on set. I agree. Yes. And Belle Moon, Blake and Ryan, Child Rescue Coalition, Feeding America, Food Banks Canada, Water First Education and Training, and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, as well as donations for hurricane relief. They have done a lot of like charitable giving, and also, when I say that she's not like a domestic violence advocate, I do know that she's done a lot in terms of like, I believe she was like honored at a gala in terms of her work against like child sexual assault images, that is good and important work. But again, I've just never heard her call herself a feminist, even despite the fact that she does all of that. She has never branded herself as a feminist to the same level that Baldoni does either. And so like all of these people can just get so extremely bent as far as I'm concerned. This might be a bad take, but I don't really hold the plantation wedding against her because I was an adult back then. I didn't even consider it an issue, and they did apologize a while ago. That's the thing. It was during a time with that country band Lady Antebellum. I will always say the plantation wedding is not up to me to forgive or not, but it is constantly said that Blake and Ryan have never apologized, and that is not true. They have made statements saying how much they regret that. I think Justin is primarily the one who has said that, but he was clearly speaking on behalf of both of them. And like, I also understand the issue. I understand the issue of. I'm sorry. I'm checking the chat while I'm talking, and I'm distracting myself. Let me minimize this. I do understand, like, if people think that makes somebody that they don't want to ever have any empathy for, like, sure, okay, whatever. I also do not see how that makes it okay that she got sexually harassed at work. Like, I feel like even if we are still actively angry, despite the fact that they have apologized, stated their regrets, and attempted to donate money to relevant causes, like, people can still be mad about that. That is completely their own right. But I do think that, like, it's a thing that it's very possible to know better from. It's possible that she didn't know and that they now know. And again, do you know what was more recent than her plantation wedding? Was Baldoni getting sued for racial fucking workplace discrimination as Wayfarer. Like, that was more recent than that. I think it was ignorance, not malicious. Like, this place looks nice, not really looking into the history, but I don't remember people hating her like this before it ends with us. No, they didn't. They absolutely did not. It was ignorance. Many weren't aware. They apologized and had a ceremony in their home. Like, if Blake Lively had really, really doubled down on the plantation wedding thing, and she had been like, this was my beautiful, perfect wedding, and I don't feel bad about it, and nobody can make me feel sorry, then I would have a little bit more grace for people who want to bring that up right now. But as far as I'm concerned, I kind of think that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds did the best thing that they could have done once you have, at one point, been ignorant enough to get married at a plantation. Like, ideally, they wouldn't have gotten married at a plantation. Baldoni also attended a plantation wedding. They are just unfortunately common in America because America is fucked. Like, I don't think anybody should be getting married at a plantation at all. I really don't think they should. But I also do understand that it wasn't really a wide conversation topic of how fucked that is until somewhat recently. Like, it wasn't until, I don't even know, like, 2020 or 2019 or something like that, I think, that, like, the cut or whatever that, the knot or whatever, there was, like, some wedding planning website that took down all of their plantation themed websites, and that was, like, the beginning of a larger conversation where, like, even white people had to be like, oh fuck, that is a really fucked up thing we've been doing. But, like, that just wasn't really a conversation up until a certain point unless you were in very specific spaces. And yes, it is the place from The Notebook, which, like, that doesn't make it okay that they got married at a plantation, but it's also, like, people talk about it like it was a very, very intentional bad thing that she did. And I just don't think that feels accurate to my understanding of it. And again, I say that not with the intention to displace, like, that is harmful. It's harmful to be that ignorant, especially when you're, like, a wealthy, rich white person. You have a responsibility to try not to be ignorant. I wish that she had not gotten married on a plantation. I just also think she's done pretty much as she could at this point to make amends for that. Just looked it up. The plantation still does weddings. That's the thing too. Why are they booking weddings? You should not be able to book a wedding at a plantation. I know sometimes people say, like, you know, they have to make money and it's teaching people, but I don't think that it's, I think that there are other ways that a plantation could, like, maintain being a place for people to come learn history and not have it be a fucking wedding venue. Yeah. I think they also wish they didn't get married on a plantation. Yeah, they've said so. Yeah, people getting married there now definitely no. I completely agree. I think somebody getting married on a plantation in 2025 is a completely different thing than it was a decade ago. Even if she was cacklingly awful on race, I still don't think her boss's bestie should be showing her his wife's nude birthing video to push her boundaries on costuming. Like, hello. Yes. It's not relevant. Even if this was a malicious thing, it's just not relevant to this. He still vacations in Hawaii as a white feminist man. Fantastic point. someone being racist doesn't mean you can go, oh, I can be sexist to them. It's fine. Exactly. Except when you do this, like, weirdo shit where you decided that white women are the most evil category of people on the planet and that they're always causing harm to every other category of people. I honestly get the feeling in this climate those types of weddings are about to increase. That's the thing. Do you, like, these people who are running around and feeling so brilliant and smart and wonderful for saying Plantation Barbie about Blake every time they get a chance, do they think that all of the right-wing commentators that they are suddenly giving ad revenue to care about what their feelings are on, like, plantation weddings and anti-racism? Because I have a feeling they fucking don't, buddy. I have a feeling you have gotten in bed with the right and that they don't give a shit about any of the things that you think you agree with them about. You only agree about woman bad. Heath showed her that movie the day after they filmed the birth scene. Why did she need to see it for work if they had already done the work? There's nothing. There is no reason why it would have been appropriate or, like, a useful creative note to show the fucking birth video. It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. They should be educational museums, and you don't have that kind of wedding at an educational museum. I agree. I think, for sure, like, you don't have to burn it down. We shouldn't take away the fact that we as the United States of America have done terrible and horrible things. And also, you should not have a wedding there. You shouldn't throw a party somewhere that something that terrible and violent has happened. And I think that does it applies as much to people who are throwing their wedding there as people who are accepting money from people to throw their wedding there. Why do they need to show the video to her? Like, in the book scene, Lily gives birth in a hospital and Blake is a mom of 4. Exactly. But it was pointed out in my comments that it really does seem like it was specifically because they were trying to pressure her into taking her clothes off. Because that's what it says in Blake's complaint, is that they kept talking about how, like, their wives ripped their clothes off and that it wasn't normal for her to want to be in the hospital gown while she was pregnant. Or while she was giving birth, rather. And to add to the point about plantation weddings didn't sound so bad to privileged white people, I didn't know how harmful tourism was to Hawaii until I met my fiance who had lived there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. People, that's another thing, is, like, we did recently have, like, a couple of years of, like, some pretty quick progress in terms of our understanding of, as white people, of racial dynamics in the country we live in, kind of. But also we then put an expectation of, like, a retroactive understanding onto the last 20 years that is just not true. Oh, sorry, the Rosie. I see one that just says my words were a bit clunky there. Sorry, but I don't see what that's in response to. I'm trying to scroll up and see it, but I think it might have gotten eaten. Oh my god, because I'm in top chat and not in live chat. I've probably been missing stuff all night. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Yes, the Rosie, I'm very much against the dehumanization of even the most evil woman to justify misogynistic violence of any kind to them. Same goes for racism and other bigotry. Yes, I agree. Fisher Friend says, so the plantation thing, one, I'm from rural Georgia, time for some tough truths. If you are holding a major event, aka large fancy event in many places of the South, you will be holding an event in a place that has ties to slavery. It was everywhere. That is a really good point. It's so baked into the soil of so much in the South, you can't just be in certain states and pretend your hands are clean. I agree on that point as well. And also, honestly, I don't even believe that only about the South. I think that's true about, like, all of the United States of America. Even the places that were later part of the Union and who fought against the Confederacy. Like, I personally, as somebody who has lived I've lived all over the place. Here's some real deep Ophie lore. I was born in Alaska. I grew up in North Carolina. I lived in Arkansas as like a teenager, as the one that I say that I grew up in. I grew up in Arkansas when I was a teenager. I moved to Seattle. No, sorry. I missed one. Grew up in Arkansas. When I left home, I lived with my brother in Texas. When my brother got he was in the army, he got stationed in Italy. I wasn't 18 yet. Even though CPS said I couldn't be forced to go back to my parents' house, my parents wouldn't sign off for me to leave the country. And also I didn't really want to go to Italy. So I ended up moving to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Boston. All of which to say I've lived all over the place. And I really like Boston. But I wouldn't say that Boston is like a less racist place than the places in the South that I lived were. I think Boston's pretty racist. We're very Irish here. But like it's a lot of white people, and like it's kind of just like the structure of this entire country. Like it, and I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but like it's just I think, yeah, I mean it's she did something that we now have a different understanding of than we had at the time. And also I understand if people don't like that, and people don't have any level of any level of grace for that. But I personally, I don't think that it makes somebody fair game to sexually harass and then smear, even if she had a Confederacy themed wedding. I will say I would find it a little bit harder to sit here and defend her on my YouTube channel if she had a Confederacy themed wedding. I probably would have a harder time with that than I would about this thing that's fairly common. I mean, this is an argument I think a lot of people have made. I know Medusini made this argument, but Reese Witherspoon got married on a plantation. Nobody gives a single shit that Reese Witherspoon got married on a plantation. I have never seen anybody call Reese Witherspoon Plantation Barbie. Have you? Because I think it's just Blake. I think that's just for Blake. Northern racism is just a different flavor, but it definitely exists. 100% agree. Yeah, Boston has massive issues, especially with the history of indigenous stolen land and unmarked graves. Bigots still fly the Confederate flag in fucking Ohio, for fuck's sake. Jesus. That is the one good thing about being specifically where I am. I don't think anybody in the Northeast is in my specific area in Boston. I don't think that they would try to fly a Confederate flag without getting that shit ripped down. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Frankly, I don't care if Lively was killing puppies for their fur. I'd still think Baldoni's in the wrong. He was rubbing his grubby little paws together. I completely agree. I completely agree. Thank you. And also thank you very much for the super chat. So even people who have committed... Oh, sorry, I missed one. Also, I have to keep stressing this. Women in jails get harassed, and that's not okay. So even people who have committed serious crimes and done terrible things, sexism towards them is still not helping anything. I completely agree. I keep bringing this up, but if the plantation wedding is really that important to them, they'd also call out Reese Witherspoon, and instead I just hear excuses for her wedding, but not Blake's. I agree. Just another convenient tool in the hate campaign. I agree. Yeah, I didn't know the Notebook House was a plantation or connected to slavery in any way. That's major context. Me neither. We get the Confederate flag assholes in Pennsylvania, too. Bullshit. I hate that. It's a loser flag. It's a loser flag. You literally lost. You lost the war, and your entire thing existed for 7 years? I'm sorry. You're a fucking loser. You're flying a loser racist flag. Not only are you flying a flag about how proud you are that you're racist, but you fucking lost. You didn't even win that war. You got your ass kicked. Oh my God, Miss Preminger, it's like how I saw a lot of people were sexually harassing Abby Shapiro but justified it by saying she was a bad person. That shit makes me so goddamn furious. If anyone's not as familiar, there's like Ben Shapiro's girl sister. I guess girl sister is kind of implied. I meant girl version of Ben Shapiro and Ben Shapiro's sister, but I said it at the same time. Ben Shapiro's girl sister was really, people were doing like the like mommy milkers meme at her, which I really fucking hate. And it is so gross and so inappropriate. And people also did that shit with, they do that shit kind of like behind their backs in like in the Fundy Snark board. They talk about like, oh, this woman who I know is a fundamentalist Christian, like she looks different ever since she started having sex, blah blah blah. And like it just, people are so weird about like, I'm going to sexualize these women who have made it very clear they don't want to be sexualized because that is a way that I am subjugating them, and I think that's funny, and I think I have the right to do that, and it's disgusting. It's so frustrating. It is like so clear that people think that like you can just, and again again pulling it back to the thing I'm saying last night about how Baldoni was saying that like femininity can't be taken away or whatever. Like, you know what femininity does do is it means that people think that it's very okay and very acceptable for them to just harass the fuck out of you because they don't like you. We're going to talk about, oh, women don't get their man card taken away like men do. Okay, they get really disgustingly sexualized for the crime of saying, please don't sexualize me. There are motherfuckers sitting around in the Fundy Snark Uncensored Birth doing fucking like fan art of water slide vaginas coming out, like babies coming out of like water slide vaginas for like the Duggar women. And it's like, you know enough about the Duggar women to know that they would not want you making this kind of art of them. And you are doing it because you are a misogynist, not because you are bringing forward any kind of like rational, critical complaint. Like, you are not bringing forward any kind of thought. You are literally just being a fucking misogynist, and you have convinced yourself that you're doing it leftistly. Only somewhat on topic, but I feel the same way about people sexualizing Abby Shapiro as I do people sexualizing nuns. It is so much like, it is. Oh, I just realized I'm allowed to heart react to super chats. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I agree. It's like it feels so violent to me. It feels so violent to me to sexualize somebody who you know does not want to be sexualized. Yeah, I don't like the Duggars, but the daughters are victims and should be left alone. I agree. Save your fucking smoke for Jim Bob. Jim Bob's the devil. Even Michelle. We can talk shit about Michelle if we want to, but like, come on. Yeah, the second any woman anywhere on any side of the aisle, the second you are not liked, it's open season on your appearance. Exactly. And I don't play that shit. Like, it's never okay. I don't like the Duggars. I already read that one, sorry. Never okay to sexually harass someone for their religion. That's also vile. As long as they're not sexualizing in real life nuns and just sexualizing Catholicism, I don't care. Yeah, it's like the trad wife fetish, but in reverse. I hate Vosh, who used ironic misogyny to such an extent that it was clearly not ironic. Many such cases. Some of my best friends are sexy nun drag queens. I love that. Liberals as a group, we need to stop commenting on women we don't like. If we think a woman is sus and we don't support her on the left, it's fine to just say nothing. Exactly. I've been saying that. I think that the most moral thing to do if you don't believe a woman is to not fucking talk about her. Brett Grace, thank you so much for this super chat. Thank you. Oh no, it's not letting me heart that one, even though I just said I'm able to heart them now. I love the little dog thing though. That's very cute. Oh, Josh is the devil. That's right. That's a good point. Josh is absolutely. I think Josh most evil, Jim Bob, and then Michelle, and then we got the kids on various scatter plots depending on how long they've been adults. President Sunday got demonetized like today, and he's the only one I've seen consistently call out the sex predator streamers. I'm not familiar with President Sunday. I believe it's a problem with leftist YouTubers. They always have a lot of sexism just under the surface. I agree. Yep. I guess Quarantine Collective, but they're a read-along group and not really a current event streamer. Yeah, attack the evil ideas, not the woman's body. That's the thing. And like, when people come at me and they say, oh, you criticize women all day on your YouTube channel, blah, 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 which like, at least I'm getting that a little bit less now that I'm here. Now that I'm in the Blake Lively thing. But I would get that too a lot when it would come to, I would make videos about Alexa Nicholas or whatever, and people would be like, you just sit here and criticize a woman. And it's like, have I literally ever said anything about her appearance? Have I ever in my video sat down and started talking about a woman and started talking about her appearance, her personal sex life? Are those things that are on the table for me? Because if those were things on the table for me, you could criticize me for unjustly critiquing a woman. Except I'm not sexualizing women. I'm not talking about their appearance. I'm not doing all of this shit. Like, there are so many ways that people criticize women that is baldly misogynistic. And yet sometimes they come at me and I'm like, you have no idea. I talk about women like they're people. That's fine to do. It's just not fine to sit here and decide that you want to systemically destroy them, and also that it's fair game to talk about their appearance and to say that they lie about everything good in their life, and etc., etc. Yeah, if a woman does wrong and you sexually harass her, instead of providing valid criticism, you're just a bully and a sexual harasser. The right uses force to get their way. The left men uses guilt tripping and whining to gain power and control over women. Yeah, it is. I think I messed something up with the chat earlier because I had it in top chat mode and not in live chat mode. I'm refreshing the URL. Hopefully that helps. Ever since I was a kid, I always thought it was better to make fun of someone for who they are. What they are is irrelevant. Exactly. And that's, again, when to bring it back to when I talk about Alexa Nicholas, I talk about her and I talk about Swoop and I talk about them in terms of their use of their platform and the ideas that they are pushing to their audience and the ways that those are less than responsible. And I'm not talking about their appearance. I'm not talking about their dating life. People, oh my God, people always want to bring up the dating life of women. And I will say that becomes relevant in my Lacey Green deep dive, in that I talk about her dating a right-wing man, but it's usually not relevant, and it's almost always not relevant when people are like, oh, and she cheated, and she's a home wrecker, and blah, blah, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really change anything of the way that I think of a situation. If there was, like, cheating in the past, and I wasn't part of that relationship, like, okay, cool. I'm down to protect actual women from sexualization, even if they're in a religion I hate, but the religion itself is dog water. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I'm so stoked for the Lacey Green video. Thank you. I'm gonna be streaming some of the research for that, because I do not want to sit through it on my own. I inherently distrust men, and leftist men content always ends up disappointing me more. Oh, I still need to read your thing about snark Reddits. I have that saved to my computer, and then I keep getting distracted. When a woman starts dating a super conservative dude and gets more radicalized, that's relevant and also common. When it's weird Gamergate, she was cheating to get video game reviews, that's a smear. I agree. Yeah, Lacey Green was in the same room with Shoe on Head and Armored Skeptic. Like, holy shit. She hugged Sargon of Akkad and then cried about how it was, like, so nice to hug him and connect with him as a person. And it's like, bro, he doesn't think you're human. He does not think that you are a human being, and he has not treated you as one. Why do you give a shit? what this guy thinks of you. Why are you so desperate for his approval? Yeah, there are very few leftist men with platforms that haven't let me down in some way. Yeah. I find they almost, it almost means that they, for me to trust them, they have to make a not very huge deal about their politics and just actually have their politics. Who is Lacey Green? I did part 1 of my Lacey Green deep dive last month. She was like a sex education YouTuber who was like kind of like progressive choice pop feminism, and then eventually she red pilled, and she ended up starting to date this like alt-right white supremacist shithead. Which I have part 1 of the deep dive up, and then I'm still working on the alt-right twist later from when she red pilled. Shu hates queer people so much it's unreal, but everyone falls for, like, gasp. You mean I, a bi woman, could be being queer-phobic as if there aren't homophobic gays? I hate that shit so much. Related to topic of Confederate flag, I once heard a woman berate people in the airport actually say we speak English in Nevada. I lost my mind and said, how the fuck do you say Nevada in English? But I don't think she got it. Turns out racists are dumb. They are. Not to bump everyone out. Yeah, no, that quote about like I'm defending myself against like how Israel protected itself, fucked up. Really fucked up. Yeah, I think it depends on the flavor of man, to be honest. If it's just a guy, then I'm neutral, but the second a man starts broadcasting that they are good, my hackles rise. I feel like I always end up bringing up Jarvis Johnson when I'm talking about dudes I actually do like on my YouTube channel. But like Jarvis Johnson is an example of a guy who like I feel safe consuming Jarvis Johnson's content. I don't ever feel like we're going to like go off onto a weird tangent and suddenly it's going to be super misogynistic. And also, Jarvis Johnson is not spending a bunch of time trying to convince me that that's true. He just has convinced me that that's true because of the content that he's been making for years. Like, he's not branding himself as a good guy. He's just a guy who I think is a good dude. And there's definitely, like, there's room for that. But it just, like, I just realized as I was talking that I have not put my shit in the dryer. Which I need to do. But I'm having so much fun just sitting here and chatting. But yeah, I love Jarvis Johnson. I think that Jarvis Johnson, like, is not trying to convince me that he's this good, amazing feminist guy, but I also genuinely believe Jarvis Johnson and Jordan think that women are people. And it's fine. Okay, I want to see if I can set up a JoJo cam while I'm getting my laundry. Let me see. There we go. Okay, we got a JoJo cam for her little nap. I will be right back. Maybe I should. Oh, that's too big now. Hang on. I'm gonna fix it. Don't worry. I'm just putting this over where my camera normally would be in case anybody pops in. You can also see all of my unmade pillows. Okay, well, we'll see if JoJo stays here the whole time, or if you just have a shot of my bed by the time I get back. But I am gonna mute the camera. Jojo is the valid dry meow meow. I lost the chat, but someone said Big Joel, and yeah, he's definitely a safe man for me. I agree. Jojo, do you want to come back over? You want to come over here? Hi. Being a feminist as a man is always worthwhile, but if you start getting defensive about it, that's an unlearning opportunity. Feminism does not equal every woman says thinks and loves you. I agree. I completely agree. I think that's a really good point. There's a lot of expectation of like, I will do this and people will be grateful to me. I don't think JoJo wants to come over. I think she wants to keep napping. I'm very pleased that she stayed here the whole time I was gone. That's really cute. Very often when I leave my room, she'll come and sit in my desk chair or come sit in front of the computer to wait for me to come back so that she can stare at my door and know right when I'm going to come back. But I had a feeling she was sleepy enough to stay. Let me unpin my laundry message here. Yeah, I really like Big Joel as well, though. FD Signifier, yes, we love FD Signifier here. I feel like we're watching Angela's cam for The Office with the JoJo cam. I've watched FD talk about stuff outside my interests. Yeah, I'm always really excited to watch an FD Signifier video if it's about something I already know about, but I will legitimately watch that man talk about anything. A huge part about what reassures me about Jarvis Johnson and Jordan is that they care about men's mental health and talk about it, but they never treat it as women don't care enough about it. Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. I never feel like, even if they're like talking about like their issues as like dudes, as if they're doing it in a way that makes me feel like they think that it's women's fault. And it's kind of ridiculous what a relief that is sometimes when you listen to a man talk. Ex-Patriarch shout out. Yeah, we love Ex-Patriarch. FD fucking rules for real. Mm-hmm. I watch like everything FD makes and 75% is outside my interests. Hi, Sunny. Welcome back. This chat is an Ex-Patriarch Ophie crossover. What's FD's full name? I'm trying to keep up with these recommends. If you look up FD Signifier, you can find his channel. JoJo was the alert to return. I love any size of Joel, but big is my favorite. We need to crowdfund a Toasty stream JoJo bed. It would be really funny to eventually get a second webcam and train it on her. I saw her little head and bib pop up and I wondered if Ophie was returning. She did. She looked at me when I came back and then she turned around and now she's sleeping facing me instead of facing away. Yeah, they never start writing fan fiction about how women have it easy either. I agree. Yeah, I really like them. Oh, man carrying thing. I love man carrying thing. I really loved his little video about the male loneliness crisis, and he was like pointing out how like men have to have it sold to them as if it's only happening to men and not also happening to women, or else they don't care. I thought that was so funny. That's like the Roundtable Wayfarer did, like every time they talk about men, it honestly offended me as a man. He's like, men do this or men do that, and I'm like, horrible men. Yes, I think I said while we were watching his Me Too thing, like, the way that they describe being a man, it sounds terrible to me. I think it's, yeah. Ophie dokie, have you thought about making a Discord server? I love the community here, and it would be so great to hang out even outside the streams. I am very nervous. I promised myself back when I first started my channel that I never had to make a Discord stream because I'm very scared of having to moderate something constantly. It's really easy for me to keep an eye on the chat like while I'm here, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to turn off a Discord server, so I have not made a Discord server, and I'm scared of making a Discord server, even though I think that it would be it would have a lot of really great people in it. I just, for now, like with like my current like capabilities to keep an eye on things, am doing my I'm doing my chats instead. I do also have the Patreon, which is like a little bit of a smaller thing, and sometimes the comment threads on something will get really active on Patreon, which is fun. But I'm too scared of needing to moderate a Discord. I promised myself all the way back when I was looking into all of the stuff that went down with the Eat Predators Discord. I was like, I don't think this is a good idea for me. Also, Wayfarer leans so hard into the divine femininity and divine masculinity thing that is always so essentialist and problematic. I completely agree. Yeah, it is all, and it even comes up in, you know, in those videos we watched, but also in some of the articles that have recently come out where they talk about Wayfarer. He's still using that, like, humanity is two different wings of a bird, and one of them is injured, and so we need the other one, the injured one, which is women, to be healed, and then we'll be fine and we can fly more strongly. And it's like, that is literally essentialist. It is separate but equal essentialist. Like, it is not feminism. It is so wild to me that, again, I mean, I know I said this in my most recent update video, so if you watched that, you've just already heard me say this, but like, people laundering the idea that this religion is specifically feminist, like, you couldn't say that. You could actually, like, you could say that about Christianity. You could say Christianity is feminist because we believe in different roles for men and women, but they're both as strong as each other. Like, that is exactly to a T what a bunch of fundamentalist Christian misogynists think is complementarianism. It is not feminist. Like, I don't think that there is a single religion in the world that is inherently feminist. Unless you are a feminist and you are being a feminist in a different way, there's not, to my knowledge, a religion that involves both, like, a god and also rules and stuff and is inherently feminist. I think you need to be bucking against any religion if you are a feminist. Does the metaphor mention how the healthy wing is stabbing the injured one? Exactly. How did that bird wing get broken? Yeah. It's complementary gender roles. It's girl defined. Yes, it is. It is fucking girl defined. It is exactly girl defined. Yeah, Catholicism genuinely says that feminist line. I would say Ophie Satanism is explicitly feminist. I that's fair. I was thinking more like religions that have like a god in the sky, and I think of feminism. I think of Satanism as different, as at least as far as like when people talk about, like, I know like the Church of Satan has done a lot about reproductive rights and stuff as like a religious freedom and stuff. But I don't think that there's anything in Baha'i that we can say is like, this is inherently feminist just because they have these separate but equal ideas that are in all of these other religions that are not feminist. My mom had friends split bear duties, grilling, mowing the lawn, cooking specifically safe, and bunny duties, all other housework, and I think of that every time we get this dressed up sexism. Oh, maybe Unitarian Universalist. I don't know, I'm biased, yeah. As a big fan of good old Jeezy Boy, I think his willingness to hang out with sex workers and disabled people was pretty feminist. I don't know why Christians don't do this. I think, I've talked about this before in videos. I was raised like, non-denominational Christian, but very, very fundamentalist. And none none of the shit Jesus was actually about has anything to do with anything Christians are into. Like, there's just, I don't understand why they think they like that guy. Like, this guy, he was hanging out with sex workers, and like, not even just sex workers, but like also tax collectors, and like, tax collectors were not fucked with at that point. Like, it's just, there's so much more interesting than what the fundamentalist Christianity actually ended up being. But like, I don't know. I would, I'm not saying that I think that there are no Christians who are feminist. I just would say that I wouldn't immediately trust that somebody is a feminist just because they told me that they're a Christian, right? My mom's church, the United Church of Christ, is very progressive, yeah. Jesus was a big fan of poverty. Has anyone ever been able to have the concept of the divine feminine masculine in their religion that wasn't gender essentialist? Has anyone considered a divine non-binary? Dave said, yes, many tribal faiths place trans and non-binary people as gods by default. Watched a video a few weeks ago on why modern fundies actually hate Jesus. They do. I was baptized twice. I like to make a joke that my lesbianism was waterproof. I couldn't wash it off. But I was baptized for the first time as like a 3-year-old girl, too young to understand anything. And then the second time I was baptized, I was a teenager. I was like starting to have these little concerns about not actually being a real Christian, etc., etc. And so I told myself that like I would try to get really hard into like just specifically the Jesus stuff, and that I would get baptized again. And there is a version of like, I can completely understand why people get into Jesus from reading the gospel. Like, I have read the gospel multiple times and been like, there is actually like some shit that this Jesus guy is saying that I think is actually pretty cool and really helpful, and that like if people were actually following that it would lead to good ways to interact with each other. It's just also like from growing up in that and being indoctrinated in that, it's not so often how it actually gets interpreted. Jesus lived off his polycule. He didn't have a job. Right. Mm-hmm. I fear he also died by his polycule. Sometimes when your polycule is 12 guys, one of them sucks. Okay. So real. Have a good night, Rendered Fat. I'm so glad you could hang out. Yeah, the mega church with the private jet is the part I can't comprehend. Jesus was very, like you said, he was a fan of poverty. He said that whole eye of the needle thing. I get so mad when Christians use hate in the name of Jesus and quote the Old Testament because the only thing that makes it Christianity is Jesus and all he does is preach love. Let a man have his hobbies. Yeah, why I had to leave. None of the people in the church I grew up in cared about any of the things I found valuable in Jesus's teachings. Yeah. No, like I specifically remember being a teenager and I was starting to get really invested into feminism and into the concept of like gay rights and trans rights. And I remember just reading, I would read, because I wasn't even just like, I mean, I do think saying I got baptized twice makes it pretty clear how churchy I was. But like I was homeschooled and I was not allowed to leave my house basically unless I was going to church. So I would be at church on Wednesday for youth group, on Sunday for church, and then also in the summers I would do like an internship, they would call it, where really I was just hanging out at the church and like doing things to help them. But also the youth pastor would do like a Bible study for us or whatever. And I just remember that last summer that I was like really trying to make myself be really into the religious thing, reading the gospel and being like, this can't be what my mother believes in. Like, my mother cannot actually believe this and treat people the way that she does and treat me the way that she does and feel the way that she does about gay people. Like, none of this actually makes any sense. And it was a lot of cognitive dissonance for me. And I never know, like, if I'm eventually going to pull myself like back into it or not, or if I just kind of like have stepped back enough. I'm like, I I'm not super passionate about trying to make myself find a religion, and so I have kind of just like settled into like I think I'm pretty atheist and pretty agnostic. Like I don't necessarily really like I don't think that all of this is like whatever. I don't want to believe in heaven and hell also is part of it, right? I would love to be confident, as I do feel, that like it's over when you die. Like it's really deeply exhausting and frustrating for me to personally try to imagine anything else for like myself and my own continued existence. Like I like the idea of like whatever happens next is not noticeably enough me that I'm gonna have to still be here. But I also like atheist feels like really like hard line in a way where I'm like maybe I'm a little bit more agnostic, maybe I'm a little bit more like, well, I just don't know. I think it's obviously completely and totally fine when people do have religions that they deeply believe. And I also think, you know, as I've kind of already touched on, but like even if you are part of a religion that has a lot of very deeply sexist sex to it, it is more than possible for you yourself to be a feminist and to have these deeply held beliefs and this religious conviction. I don't think those things are at odds with each other at all. I just don't think that any religion, even / especially Baha'i, which does not allow women on its largest board, is inherently something that makes you a Christian. I've wondered what would happen if the early Jesus Yeshua people wrote off Paul as a weird, Haiti, homophobic, likely TBI sufferer. Could be a better world. Paul's an asshole. Jesus stuff was pretty chill, borderline socialist. Paul was like, yeah, but fuck all those other people and women should shut the fuck up. Boo. Yeah. Worst thing my religious family did for me was to give me a Bible at a young age. I was a precocious reader, started from the beginning. I got to Lot and his daughters, and then I noped out of religion altogether after realizing they read exactly like myths and folktales. There are aspects of religion I miss, but after believing something so totally and then leaving it, I don't think I could go back again. That's also, there was a lot of like, I was taught that there was only one unforgivable sin for which Jesus could not forgive you and that you would go to hell forever, and that unforgivable sin, rather than being like, you know, like murder or something, was disbelief. And so that took a very long time for me to even be able to like talk about not being sure I believe in God without like worrying that I was going to go to hell forever. And like my mom got very, very religious, which is why I was homeschooled. And so it was like, I would like literally be in trouble at home. Like me and my siblings would like get in trouble at home if we expressed any level of like doubt about the religion we were being indoctrinated into. So definitely very complicated feelings here. Definitely a lot of like, even though I think like, if I'm picturing him as just a dude, I would say I for sure pretty much fuck with Jesus. Like I can't think of anything Jesus said that makes me really mad, right? He was fine. But I do I do not feel a specific desire to ever like go back into church or anything, even though I do think that people who do get a lot of comfort out of their religion, whatever that religion may be, are completely valid and are not any less smart or anything. It's just like that's just where I come from. Any other Jews here have a little freak out? Are you saying that over the idea of Christianity not allowing any doubts? Because my understanding is that Jewish people are very much allowed to doubt, which I think is really cool and very different from how I was raised. I grew up Mormon and disbelief was the biggest sin too. I rapidly deconverted in my early 20s, but had nightmares about it for a long time. Yeah, I used to like lay there in bed and be like, oh my God, what if I think I believe in God, but I don't, and now I'm going to go to hell because I didn't realize that I was accidentally committing the sin of disbelief. Disbelief thing is what killed Mormonism for me, since most of the world has never heard of Mormonism or even Jesus, so I have a hard time thinking they are going to hell. And then, oh, sorry, I'm reading somebody else's, or even lesser heaven or whatever. Yeah, it's so weird. Also saying the same thing altogether creeps me out the fact to this day. Thank you. Oh my god. I don't know what it is, like what lizard brain thing gets set out in my mind, like what happened in the past evolutionarily that I feel like I need to have a sense of impending danger if a bunch of people around me are all saying the same thing at the same time. But holy god, that is another reason that I have no interest in ever going back to church. Like, I do not want to go back to church because, specifically, even outside of everything else that I just talked about, if I stand there and there are people all around me and they're all saying the same thing, even if I know what they're reading it from, it makes me feel so scared. It makes me feel so scared. I feel like I need to run away. I was raised pretty much agnostic with a bit of Jewish practice, and yeah, I'm grateful to be in that zone. Yeah, I think it would be, I would have come out very different if I had not had lots of religious trauma injected into me. Mm-hmm. For me, it was more like, I know I don't believe this because it doesn't really make sense, but what if it's actually true and God just really sucks, so made it hard to believe? Mm-hmm. Religion hierarchy, it's designed in the same shape as patriarchy. They are two sides of the same coin, IMO. Freedom from religion is as important as freedom of religion. I agree. Thanks for being so real. I feel this convo so much. Yeah, this is really nice. It is really nice. Like, I know that there are a handful of people, either just because of the kind of people who like to hang out and watch YouTube, or because they've kind of stuck around after I've mentioned it. But I do know that, like, for a lot of us who have, like, grown up in various high control religions, it's very useful to be able to talk about it after the fact. Gospel of John is pretty cool. Best book of the Bible, I think. Jesus has some cool parables, and thinking about other people is a good thing. When religion becomes everything, it is a problem. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The more I learn about religion, the happier I am that my dad chose to raise me without any religion, not even his own. I didn't even know he believed in any gods until I was in middle school. That's so interesting. My like I said, my mom got really, really radicalized into Christianity, and they got radicalized specifically because they watched the movie version of Left Behind. Not the Nicolas Cage one, but the one that came out before that, like forever ago. And then they read the Left Behind books, which are like Christian horror about the apocalypse. And then they believed that all of that was genuinely going to happen within the next few years, and raised their family under that assumption. Important context for Mormonism, there's this thing called outer darkness, and the only people who go to outer darkness are sons of perdition. What is a son of perdition? Sons of perditions are people who have known God and chosen not to believe, aka I am a son of perdition. Oh, very interesting. Also, thank you very much for the super chat. The best I have is hope, because I hope my husband will get to see his dad one day, and I would love to see my brother again. Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, like I don't think just because of where I shake out it means that anybody else is wrong, and I also don't think that about anybody else either. I do think my mom is wrong. I think my parents were wrong to read Left Behind and think that the world was about to end, and that they should punish their children for not acting accordingly. But also, yeah. Yes, yeah, Kirk Cameron. Yeah, that shit was scary under certain circumstances. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah. On the one hand, I think that it would be very upsetting to work on, so I haven't started working on it yet, but I do think that a video where I read Left Behind and talk about the context of it being the thing that radicalized my parents so hard that I ended up getting, like, religiously indoctrinated for my entire education. I do think that would be interesting, but I also have just been like, I'm kind of scared to read Left Behind. Outer darkness is like hell quadrupled. That's so scary. I knew you were talking about Kirk Cameron. My fundy church made us watch Left Behind as kids. Truly traumatized me. It's scary. And like the piles of clothes because people would get raptured. Oh my god. The other part of Mormonism that killed it for me was being with family. I hate my family. I can't think of a worse afterlife. I relate. As a Christian, I really hate Left Behind. I would also, if I do that video, I think I would be really interested to hear from people who like are actually Christians. Like, I mean, I don't think most people genuinely believe that Left Behind is like, I mean, my parents for real thought that that Left Behind and like the Book of Revelation were like pretty much the same amount of like, well, this is what's gonna happen. And my understanding is that there are like some liberties taken in Left Behind, but I also haven't seen the movie in a really long time. But yeah, that is an eventual an eventual video for me is talking about Left Behind, and also talking about like how weird and fucked up it is to raise your children with a fear of the rapture, which is a thing I've only ever seen like pretty small handfuls of other people relate to, even though it's like that was it's like that tweet about how you know, like I used to think that quicksand was going to be a bigger deal in my adult life than it was. I thought that the rapture, like that was one of my most real and present concerns as a teenager, or like as a child. And then as I was moving into a teenager, I was like, wait, maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not real. But like I thought the world would end. And also, because we were so like fundamentalist Christian, it was not only this idea that the world was going to end and that the rapture would happen, but that the rapture would happen, and also we were obligated to be excited about that. Like we were obligated to be looking forward to it. And if we said that we weren't looking forward to living through the rapture or the end of the world, then we weren't being good Christians. So that would again be a reason to be like in trouble with my severely mentally ill mother. Which also, while I'm just like lore dumping here, this is also part of why when people come at me and they say like, you just don't understand what abusive women are like, and that's why you're defending Blake Lively and Amber Heard, and if you did understand, you would take the man's side. And it's like, my primary abuser was my mother. My mother was a very unstable, like religiously radicalized person who was constantly taking herself off of her medications and out of therapy. Like, I understand significantly more than a lot of people who throw around the word narcissist what it is like to be raised by somebody with actual narcissistic personality disorder. And so therefore, then when I look at the dynamics, I notice who is the abuser and not just who's the woman. And then usually somebody like Johnny Depp or Justin Baldoni and the way that they're behaving actually does remind me more of my abuser, even though they're not a woman. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. But to so many people, just because they have like a female abuser somewhere in their backstory, are like, oh, obviously women are bad, and if you don't believe every woman in every situation is bad, then you just don't understand what bad women are like. And it's like, no, I know what bad women are like. I have been around some bad women. It's just that I don't think that Blake Lively deserved to be sexually harassed. My dad raised me watching the 700 Club, so I relate to the fear of the apocalypse. Absolutely. I thought my friends were going to hell for wearing jeans. Oh my god. I feel like I've seen. I remember. I saw like a reel or something where somebody was like making fun of like. They were making fun of like, like when I was a teenager, my friend used to be like, it's so sad you're not coming to heaven with me. And it's like, it is such a fucked up thing to say, but also it is so fucked up to like be raising teenagers to feel like they should be saying that kind of shit. Like it's wild. Ophie, you appear to have a lot in common with Rachel. She was raised fundy and has mommy issues according to her, and is a feminist. I'm not minimizing abusive moms. It's just what she calls it. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of us are survivors of abuse, parental or religious, and deconstructed from that abuse, so we're more equipped to deconstruct abusive behavior. I agree. I think so too. And that's, I mean, again, it's not constant that people are like, you just don't know what female abusers look like, but it does make me laugh when people tell me that I don't know. I don't know what female abusers looks like, because it's like, well, I lived with one for like 17 years, actually. we could get into that, but we won't. Well, we just did. But yeah, that was, I think that's more backstory than I've ever gone into about like what my particular religious trauma is. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did I even have anything else that Okay, so I'm trying to see what's going on with but I don't think that I pulled up enough actual links in the Reddit to really do it. So I'm confused though about what's going on with this lady who claims to have seen Blake Lively in a hotel lobby. I think what I want to do is find some other posts about that and then do another stream maybe tomorrow about it. Just because I'm kind of running out of steam. I just talked about Jesus for like half an hour, I feel like. But that was really fun. I love talking and getting the like immediate feedback from all of you. I think that that's so cool, and I've said this before, but I don't get a ton of chances to socialize in like my day-to-day life, so being able to do these streams even and especially when we get really off topic is really fun and fulfilling for me in terms of like, just, you can imagine me at almost all times as a sim with my social bar like under halfway, so this kind of thing is very good. So I really appreciate being able to hang out with all of you. I do think I'm gonna call it because it's like 11 p.m. here and I'm getting a little sleepy, so I would like to make my bed once my laundry's done. I can probably go pick it up from the bottom now, but I love you all very much, and I'm so thankful to you all for hanging out. And yeah, I appreciate you letting me go off on such a tangent about my religious trauma. That'll be fun to get comments about on the replay. I think other than just the handful of people here who have already expressed being scared of Left Behind, I think there's even more people in my audience who also got traumatized by Left Behind. I'm an ex-Muslim, went out with a Christian for a few years while I was still Muslim. He basically said he thought I was going to hell just for not being Christian. I broke up with him then and there. That's like, it's such a fucked up thing to say to somebody. Like, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Like, I just almost jumped right back in. Jojo, do you want to come say goodnight? She does not. Jojo is, she's still sleeping on the corner of the bed. She's going to be so sad when I make her get up so that I can make the sheets. But then I do think that she'll be happy once we have clean sheets. So that's good, at least. Yeah, okay. Thank you all so much for hanging out. This was a nice hangout stream. Also, I might do this more often when I need to do my laundry, because that was a really effective way of making sure I was actually getting it done. But yeah, okay. So if anybody has actual information about what's been going on with this whole hotel lobby footage of Blake, I will try to put it all together before I stream again. And I think I want to try to stream maybe tomorrow. I have therapy at some point tomorrow, but I'll probably stream after that. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. Today has been really fun hanging out. Thank you to everybody who showed up either both times or just for one, or who watches this on the replay, and I'll see you soon. Bye.